Thank you. Thank you so much.
3 more hours.
Yes, 2 more hours. And we'll be hanging our boat.
Amazing.
Are you ready?
I am ready. Let's do this.
Yes. Please introduce yourself to the group.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Kindly introduce yourself to the online participants.
Right. Good morning, evening, afternoon to everybody, wherever you are in this world. My name is Precious Shote Tobrinke, and I am based in Johannesburg, South Africa, but I am originally from Zimbabwe. I am looking forward to having this session and having this conversation with Tom Chris and being part of making a world record.
Yes. Okay, so this morning we'll be talking about your journey of discovery. What is it about?
So I've just realized that, when I was reflecting and I was thinking about what topic I should talk about. Usually I get to talk about the work that I do, my professional life. But then I realized there's a big piece that we don't get to talk about often. That journey, the self-discovery that happens, in different points in one's life. And the one that I want to talk about today is a journey of self-discovery. We started a few years ago, and I just realized that prior to that, I never really took the time or the moment to reflect and think of my journey and how I am, where I am going, either be it in a professional sense or a personal sense. So a few years ago, I I did what most people do when they are hitting a mid-career crisis. I started doing my MBA, and that same year that I started studying, I then started having challenges, or not challenges, but I then discovered that my son was going through, was on the spectrum, but the journey of discovering that was just very, it was challenging, was also studying. So I was going through two challenging events, one focusing on my career and one on my personal life. And then the two got to converge, which then just led me to reflecting more. Uh, yeah, so that's why I thought, let me talk about this journey, because as I went through that journey, it was through talking to random strangers, believe it or not, that also helped me just find my way around and navigate around that.
Wonderful. So, sometimes when things unexpectedly happen that, sort of throw us a curveball, that's also when we discover ourselves. So, let's get into the main conversation. Would you like to part the curtain
Mhm.
and give us the full details?
Okay, so let me go back,
Yeah.
uh, like way back.
Yeah.
As this just to talk about, for instance, I'm going to talk about the career aspect and then the personal aspect. So when I go back, I realized that I'm a chartered accountant by profession,
Right.
and this is a profession that chose me. I didn't necessarily
Okay.
choose it. And
Impressive.
when I say that, it's more of coming from my background, where you grew up in the townships, grew up like in more disadvantaged backgrounds. You're always thinking not necessarily like, what do I want to do with my life? But because you're coming from a point of scarcity, you're coming from, how do I get myself in a position where I can make money, where I can be able to be self-sufficient, where I can take care of myself. So your choices in terms of what you pursue can be limited. I always say that when you think about poverty, you think it from a point of money, financial means, but it also limits your choices. It also limits your options. And
Right.
growing up, the people that I knew that seemed to be doing quite all right were accountants, right?
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
was like, that's what I want to be. And also because my ceiling was very much, my horizon was not wide. It was quite limited. I mean, growing up, if you wanted to make money or to be able to survive and look after yourself, you had to be either a doctor, an accountant, or like a teacher or going to the service industry. So then I was like, okay, accounting seems to be like the where one I'll be able to get a job soon after. I wanted to be a doctor, but the idea of blood and all that, I was like, no, I don't think I can survive this.
This is not for me.
This is not for me. Although I feel like this is really good, but I was like, I don't know if I can do this and be able to take that home every day, which I really admire people in the profession for, because I think it's really it's a lot to take on. So then I went to I grew up in Zimbabwe, right? So when you go to A level, believe it or not, you decide what career path you're going to take at 16. When you go for your A levels, you decide which subjects to take, which are going to determine which path you're going to take. So when
Right.
I left home, I thought maybe a doctor, because my often like accounting a doctor. But when I got there, then I had my epiphany. I was like, I don't think I can do this for the rest of my life. Then I started to do commercials. I didn't do any science related subjects. So that's what I meant by the career kind of chose me. I was like, oh, this is what I do. I qualified to do this. Let me do this. And then that started my journey. And then after that, I went and I did my degree in accounting. I then qualified to be a chartered accountant. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm now at a point where, because what was motivating me, remember, was the fact that I need to be able to take care of myself. I shouldn't be, burdening my parents or the rest of my siblings. So now I got to a point where I was like, all right, you can take care of yourself. You're there. Then I started thinking like, but what really? It was only then and not in the beginning, like me to my career, that I started thinking about what do I really want to do?
Right.
What am I here? What is my purpose? What do I want to do? So that's what I meant by my mid-career crisis,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which then led me to, doing an
The
MBA.
MBA course.
Yeah, the MBA course. And then as I was doing that, because even though I've started to be a chartered accountant, I've always gravitated towards the development space. So then, but it was more of the opportunity careers. It wasn't something that I was like, I planned and was systematic following. It was more like, okay, this is what I need to survive, and then I'll do that. But then at that point, I was like, I need to be at a point where I'm like, okay, planning and being deliberate about where do I want to go. So that journey now of finding like, how do I go about doing that? How do I go about when I've lived 30 plus of my life, just,
Mm.
going, not really thinking about where I'm going. So that journey was really, when you feel, what's the right word? Like tethered, you're being pulled apart because it's
Right.
uncomfortable, right? Because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
think that at a certain point in your life,
Mm.
you should know where you're going, but there you are
Yeah.
in your mid-30s and you're like, I have no idea where I'm
The
going.
direction is not clear.
Yes, it's not clear. And if you read most books that tell you need to have a vision, you need to have a 10-year plan. I was like, well, I don't have all that. So
Mm.
anyway, I went through the MBA journey, which was really, really enriching, because I always tell people that for me, it was also part of a self-discovery, because then part of that exercise is getting to know yourself, because you're thrown with all these challenges. I mean, it's like a high pressure environment. I was working, I was studying, and I had two kids below
Mm.
5 as I was doing this. And so it was a lot of pressure. So then you have to then realize, like, I can't be all things at once. And so then you need to really just think about where you're going. So then one of the things that we then got to do was to think about, from a career perspective, was to think about what do I want to go? What is my purpose? Because previously, you'd always think like, maybe if I become a CEO or if I become a CFO, if I'm leading this organization, that's where I want to go. But then like, okay, then you reach that point. So what? What's going
Now
to
what?
happen? What's next?
Yeah.
So which then really like, okay, if I go into any organization, what role am I playing? What
Right.
do I want to, what should I be doing? And I realized that as you think about it from that perspective, it broadens your
Your
horizon,
horizon.
the kind
Yeah.
of jobs that you can do. Because if I say I want to be in a job where I am having, where I'm impacting the next generation, that's
Yeah.
broad, right? It doesn't matter what my role is, but what matters is what I'm doing in
Right.
that role. And then I found that it really liberated me to then pursue certain jobs which previously I not thought possible. And also, as I was going through this journey, I also realized that I need to get information, and I wish someone had told me this when I was in my 20s, because I then started doing informational interviews,
Right.
and yeah, so when I was doing informational interview, it was really reaching out to people and asking them about their careers, their industry, so that I could get more and understand like, okay, if I want to be in this space, this is what's
This
required.
is what it should be.
Yeah, exactly. This is what it should be, and these are the expectations. These are the skills that I need.
Yeah.
It was something. It was really in what I found interesting was, before I started, everybody fears rejection, right? I mean, you're reaching
Yeah.
out to random people and saying, "Hey, can I have 20 minutes of your time? I'm interested in your industry, and I just want to find out more." This can be on LinkedIn, or you go to a conference, and then I'll just talk to people. Initially it was that like, oh my God, what if they say no?
Mm.
And I thought, what's the worst that can happen? They
Right.
say no, I'm still in the same position, I move
Well
on.
before. Yeah.
Exactly. If they say yes, now I've gained more insights.
Yeah.
So, but it wasn't as easy as I'm talking about it now. It's something that you say to yourself, right? And like, okay, all right, I'm going to reach out. I've identified these people. I'm going to reach out to them. And then as you type that message, you're like, okay, what if they say no? Then you start self-doubting. And then
Yeah.
you start thinking about all the negative things that could happen.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
and because I then realized like I was taking that as if it's a reflection on me, but it's
Mm.
not, right? So just
Absolutely.
so it was something that I had to grapple with. And it's easier. Said like, oh no, just reach out. But when reaching, you type this message, it's a random person, maybe they don't respond, and then be like, oh, they don't want to talk to me. Then I'm like, okay,
Mm.
hey, here's a nudge. Then they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I was busy. I really would
Yeah.
love to talk to you. And I found out of like most of the people I reached out to, about 85% responded to say
Go
yes.
back. Right.
Exactly. And those people were now very much invested in my journey. And
Mm.
just out of that, I'll tell you my current job where I am was as a result of one of the people I reached out to as I was doing my informational interview. Because I
Mm.
met this person, I told them, you know what? This is where I am. I'm having a career crisis. I'm trying to figure out where to go next. I just want to find out more. I was very vulnerable, right? So you can imagine
Right.
when they, like, I think about 8 months later, they said, hey, you wanted to be in this space. There's a role that's coming up. If it's something of interest to you, you can apply.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is someone I've been very vulnerable with. And now I'm thinking in
Mm.
that interview, because when you go for interview, you want to put your best foot forward, right? And this is someone
Right.
who literally been saying, I have no clue where my life is going. and, now, now I have to go in the interview and be like, I know I'm the right
I'm the
candidate.
best person.
I'm the best person for this job. So you can just imagine. I remember they tried to reach me, and I was before when I had the conversation with them, I mean, they asked me a lot of tough questions, just like, you need to go and reflect on this because it's your journey. You're asking
Right.
me about, I can tell you my experience, but you need to chart your own experience and your own journey. And I didn't have solutions. 8 months later, I didn't have answers. So then anyway, I applied for the job, I went for the interview, and I got the position. Right. So that was also,
Congratulations.
yes. So it's also just highlighting that, I had to, it was that discovering and being in uncomfortable positions and
Position.
putting yourself out there and then realizing that, you know what, I am actually capable. Like, it's okay. The world does not come down if someone says no. It's
Mm.
okay. Take chances. Don't always take the safe path. Put
Right.
yourself out there, reach out to people. There's a
Right.
community of people who, most people, yes, it's not
Yeah.
everybody, but
Yeah.
most people generally are more helpful. But
Right.
they're not going to come to me. I need to go to them because it's my
Right.
journey. Yeah. I feel like I've been talking so
Mm.
much. So I'll easier.
Okay. That's a wonderful journey, actually. Very impressive. Okay. So if you go back to your primary school days, you have primary school, you call it primary school in South Africa, right?
Yes,
Okay.
primary school.
Right. If you go back to your primary school days, I assume that I was there with you as one of your buddies, you know. Will I think of you in a different light than who you are today?
Definitely. Because I,
Okay.
I would like to think I've grown. I
Yeah.
can't be the same person I was in primary school. Uh,
Right.
and also I'm a believer that, like, our environments and society, they do shape us, right? And we do learn
Yeah.
from them. And
Yeah.
we tend to be constricted by the exposure that we have. So as
Right.
you grow and you get exposed to more things, for instance, you
Right.
become more open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to think I'm not the same person I was in
Absolutely.
primary school. Uh,
Right.
Although there's some traits that obviously you think, they remain the same, but I think my worldview and my viewpoints have
Mm-hmm.
definitely matured and grown over the years.
Mm-hmm. As it should, right?
Exactly, as it should. We can't. I always laugh. We've got a group of friends, from high school, where, like, there's this thing, like, when you go back to people you're in high school with, for some reason it's like you then get stuck in what used to happen in high school. Like, oh, you used to be like this, you used to do that. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? That's been like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We have gone and moved away from that, but sometimes we tend to want to think that people don't change. But I
Mm.
believe the only, I mean, to to torture a cliche, the only
Mm.
constant thing in this
It's
world is
changed.
change.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Now, obviously, looking at you, I want to guess that you grew up in an environment filled with love, um, mom and dad. Might that be right?
No,
Okay. Tell us more.
no, I was raised by a single parent. My
Okay.
mom, and I also
She did a
my
great
mom.
job.
She did. Thank you. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that. I'll pass that on. And my mom is really my greatest inspiration, because when I look back and look at what she managed to do for us, given
Mm-hmm.
my mom did not have a formal education. I think, I don't know if you use standards or grades, uh, but it would be, I think she says she went up to like grade 6. She didn't go
Mm-hmm.
to just primary. She didn't go to high school,
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't have like a formal job. I mean, my mom was a helper or a maid at some point in her life, then she used to do this cross-border selling. She was a
Yeah.
cross-border trader, and she did
Yeah.
all these things to take care of us. And I always think that, if she had been in a different circumstances,
Context.
my mom would be
Yeah.
somehow CEO because she's very
Yeah.
entrepreneurial. Right
Right.
now she's 81, and last year, when she was 80, she was awarded Farmer of the Year in her district because she always
Wow.
has projects. She's very industrious. She's very, she's always thinking and looking at how to take opportunities, take chances. And when I really talk to her, I just feel like, if she had the support, which is why I'm really, part of the work that you're doing for the providing the support to young scholars, it really resonates with me because I always feel
Mm.
like if my mom had had that kind of support, she would have been far. She would have done amazing things because even right now,
Yeah.
everybody, like in my language, would call it gogo,
Mm.
come to her for how are you? And I remember that this time there was a massive drought. Almost everyone around the plots where she stays, they didn't have a lot of yield. My mom had like
Mm.
8 tons of maize.
Wow.
And then she was just selling on, and then she's always doing buttering and doing something like that. So she's really like a great inspiration because I always look at her and like, if given the little opportunities that she had at her disposal,
She
she
made it to
managed to
this
achieve so
transformational
much.
result. Hmm.
Exactly. And here I am. We have got much more than that she had. Why can't
Mm-hmm.
we why can't we do more and take advantage of that? So
Mm.
yeah.
How
Uh,
many were you? How many
I'm the last
siblings?
one of 7
Okay.
kids. Yes.
7.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many guys?
4 and 3 girls. So the first
Wow.
4 are guys and the last 3 are girls.
Hmm. Interesting
Yeah.
combination.
Yeah. No, it is. But I don't have people. I'm a last born, so please don't bring up any all last born tendencies. I think that's a myth.
Okay, I will say that. Okay. Oh, I see. Hmm.
And
Makes sense.
hmm, what makes sense?
Because you're surrounded by protection, your life was shielded.
Not really, because my older sibling is like much older, like there's 7 of
Right.
us, like 19 years
Right.
older than me. So it's like
Okay.
a generation, a generation, that's like a
Yeah.
different generation.
All
So by
right.
the time I came to be, most of them had left. I would say,
Hmm.
and my mom is so proud of this. She's like, yeah, I, like, it's because
I know
when
you
people
were the one to
like,
take care of me.
yes, and keep you young, I guess.
Uh-huh. That's so nice.
Yeah, no, yeah, but it was, and I'll just say, when I look at like now as a parent, and I think I
Yeah.
did mention earlier that, when I was, my son got diagnosed to be on the spectrum uh, during the time that I was studying. And, you know, I remember so just how at that point, I really got to understand and appreciate my mom more. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, because as I was going through that, when you have kids, no one tells you of the challenges that you might
The
face.
extra blessings.
Yes, that you might face along the way. And
Hmm.
then you realize, like I remember, when we thought, when we started the journey of, because my son was having issues at school, there was a time like you'd be like, oh, the school call you, let's talk and stuff. So then we're like, okay, Um, we are now in a position where we have access to information. We've got
Mm-hmm.
access to resources that
Mm-hmm.
maybe growing up, my mom didn't have,
Didn't have.
you know. And then, so I remember, and then we just, you just had to make do with what was there. But then I was like, no. So my husband and I were like, okay, our son is struggling at school. Let's see if we can get him into play therapy and just see what's going on, because he can't be being called to the school every second week. Uh,
Yeah.
and then so we went to see a play therapist. She didn't even see my son. She asked us a whole bunch of questions. And then she's like,
Mm.
I don't think whatever's going on is behavioral. I can sit with your son for the next 6 months, but I don't think we're addressing the underlying cause. So you can imagine, you've gone there thinking you're going to find a solution, then you're told, I'm not sure what's the problem. Go see someone else. Go see an educational psychologist. So we see an educational psychologist. She's like, there's a lot going on. I'm not sure what exactly,
Mm.
because go see someone else. So now you're going through this journey. And remember, this is all it's a couple of weeks of this, and still he has to go to school. They're still like, oh, can you talk to your son? This happened. You're still having those conversations with the teacher. So you can
Yeah.
imagine as a parent, now
The
I remember
pressure.
in a constant, and I'm studying.
Mm.
And then there's now the guilt that you're feeling, because now I start thinking, because this started as I was studying, and now I start thinking, is it
Could it
because
be
I'm not
me?
there? Is
Mm.
it because I'm not, for some reason, I don't know why, as humans, we tend to internalize a lot of external things, and you think it revolves around me. Because I was like, is it because I'm not there? Is it because I'm studying, I'm
I
not
didn't
giving
give
it
him
that
the
enough
right
attention? Should I
attention.
be
Yeah.
doing this? Maybe I should be more, maybe I should then. So there's all these things that are happening. Uh, and then, anyway, so we go through this journey. Eventually, we get the diagnosis and how we need the treatment plan. This is now like 3 months down the line from when we started the journey. And I remember I told you that as I was going through this, some of the people who really helped me come to terms with this were strangers. Because then I realized that, I needed to be in a position where I can help my child. And for me to
Right.
be in that position, I needed to be in a good mental and emotional state.
Right.
And so then I think then that started my journey. Like I actually had to go for therapy just
Mm.
to understand why I was reacting the way I was reacting and I couldn't handle, for example. Uh, and then I remember I would be at the park and then someone would be like, oh no, look at him. Then I'm like, oh my God, this is what's happening. You can't believe this. And then through that, I mean, through the therapy and also just talking to people, I got to meet people as who are adults who also had his condition. I mean, he has autistic and ADHD, who then got to tell me, because my son was like 5, 6. He really could not express what was going on with him. I could just
Mm.
see the behavior. And then when I got to talk to people, they're like, then they got to explain to me as adults, then they could really articulate and help me understand my son better. And also the therapy also helped me understand why I was resisting, this thing, because hey, I want everything to be perfect. And
Yeah.
why is that the case? So I just realized like that journey also made me reflect, go back and think about my childhood, where my values and why I am the way I am, for
Mm.
example, which really, I mean, it was not comfortable, right? That's like, I always, when I tell people, I don't know if you know the novel, The Portrait of Dorian Gray, or the
I've
story.
heard of it.
Yeah. Well, it's not as morbid as that. So the portrait of Dorian Gray makes a pact with the devil that he will always, remain youthful and beautiful.
Yeah.
But the portrait which shows his inner self,
Right.
right? So everything that he did, or the debauchery, the rotten things that he did, or even the good, they'll be displayed, they'll be shown in the portrait. So when the portrait starts, he's this beautiful, handsome, beautiful man. But as time goes on, it changes and gets distorted as he becomes, as he rots
The
inside,
actual.
as his
Yeah.
soul is
Yeah.
rotten. Yeah. So I always tell people, so he never wanted to look at his portrait, so he hid it. Uh,
Mm.
you know, yes, but that's like a really extreme case. But I just find that
Yeah.
usually most of us, we don't want to face ourselves,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's comfortable to look yourself in the mirror and see yourself for who you are. But then at
Hmm.
some point, you have to go through that.
Yeah.
And this forced me. So it was a time when I was going through two separate journeys, one more professional and personal, where I was
Mm.
forced to
To
reflect,
go through that
just
door.
think, yeah, and just look at myself. And it's uncomfortable. But then once you get past that resistance and like, oh, repulsion of yourself, you then realize, like, you can deal with things much better, because now you understand, oh, this is why I'm reacting this way when someone
Mm.
does this. It doesn't mean that you stop reacting that way, but you understand, right?
Right.
For example, sometimes when you make a mistake and you feel like, oh my God, it just, this is the worst, I shouldn't show my face anymore. Then you realize, why am I reacting like this? No, stop it. This is how, then you kind of build yourself, frameworks that help you navigate certain situations better, instead of defaulting to the negative aspects. If I kind of help yourself build frameworks for you to be more positive, to realize, yes, you made a mistake. How could you have done that, Precious? That was stupid, but it's okay. People make mistakes. Move on. What did I learn from this? This is how I can do better. So you kind of, it's kind of like you have checks for yourself, where then you realize, like, okay, I've this is what's happening. I need to stop it. Uh, I've lost I've lost my horse. Now I don't know if I'm live. Oh, I'm still live. Yes. Should I continue this conversation? So anyway, what I was telling Tom Chris. Okay, I see you're back. I I can't hear you, but I can see you're talking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, wonderful. You're
Yeah, the light was cut by ECG. So
back.
we've managed to switch to generator. My apologies.
No, 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 I totally understand. I mean, here we had I think now we have 222 days of no load shedding. But prior to that, this was our life. So I totally understand.
All right. So you were talking about going through that door, facing the picture, so to say.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So yeah. So I'm just talking about how that really helped me, understand myself. And it's quite interesting because as we are going through, and not just for me, and we're having a conversation with my husband and this is the one thing I always think about parenting. I think parenting generally also does this for you. As you go through certain things with the children, you also have to, do a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm a better person. I'm more empathetic now that I have kids and that I am parenting than I was before, because you realize, people always say you need to walk in my shoes to understand.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And now I just, because one of the things that, and I was talking to my husband, and then we're like, you know what? Some of these issues that we're dealing with the kids, I feel like I have them, right? And then, so even the conversations and the connection, because there are certain things you always feel like it's my burden alone, it's just me, maybe I'm just weird or something. I don't know. We always are not comfortable talking about things that do not paint us in a good light.
Yeah.
And then now, as we're talking, then you realize, like, you know what? I I sometimes do have social anxiety. And now, and before, there was no, you didn't name it, right?
Right.
You didn't know what it was. You just know, like, when I get into certain situations, this is what's happening, but you don't have a name for it. And maybe
Mm.
I don't know, you try to find yourself, to find ways. But now, as we're going through this journey, then you're like, you know what? Oh, because now you have to teach your child how to manage certain situations. Then you realize
Mm.
I'm also teaching myself,
Right.
because these are some of the things um, that I struggle with, but because we just never had the time to.
To confront it.
Yes. And even just to confront, or just to reflect and
Right.
introspect. Yeah.
Right. And
And
now you're raising your child and you're raising yourself.
exactly. And that's why I remember earlier I said, if I haven't grown or changed from the person I was in primary school, then something is wrong. Because then you realize that some of these things. And the advantages that we have is now we didn't have a play therapy, we didn't have occupational therapists helping me as I was growing up and giving me the truth and the frameworks. But now, as my child gets those, I'll be like, oh, okay, I need to use some of these as well, just to help me navigate life. And also now, when that happens, I get into a situation, I'm like, okay, I don't feel like talking. I just I just want to be at home, but now I need to be with people. Now I need to. Huh. Then I realized, okay, this is what's happening. Generally, my battery, I'm overwhelmed, because now I tell my child, when you're overwhelmed,
Precious.
yes.
Sorry, it seems there is some background effect. Can you turn off your microphone and put it on again? Okay. And right. Try again.
Better?
It seems.
Is it
Yeah.
better?
Yeah. Yeah. Right now it
Okay.
is.
All right. Now, where was I?
We
I'm
were
telling
talking
myself,
about
focus, precious. Yeah.
yeah, so
Okay.
I just wanted to understand how did you feel the first time you received that call from school that this and that is going on with the baby? What was it like?
It's denial,
Mm,
anxiety.
mm,
I'd say, yeah, it's more, yeah, because you'd be like, and just confused. They're also anxious because they're like, how? Because some of the things like this, the child you're talking about is not the same child. This is not the same things that happen at school.
Mm.
I mean, that happened at home. So yeah, so it was a lot of denial. But then, as time goes on, you're like, and then you start thinking like, why am I reacting? Why am I in denial? It's
Right.
because, and that's what I talk to. I mean, most of us have got this perfectionist syndrome where you're
Mm.
like, you want you want your child to be this perfect person. And then you'll be
Mhm.
like, no. And I always say, I don't know if anyone ever watched what was this show? I think it was called The Stepford Wives, where,
No, I haven't seen it.
so the Stepford Wives, they were proper, they did everything right, only in the end
Mm.
to realize that they used to swap the wives with robots. So that, because if your wife was not acting in the Stepford way, then you'll be, they'll yeah, they'll give you like a robot, and you think so. You come home cooked meal, everything is perfect, nothing. So I always say, most of us want to raise Stepford kids, but that's impossible.
Right.
You can't. They can't be perfect. They're human beings, and as human beings,
Mm.
flawed. I mean,
Right.
we are, yeah, we do make mistakes. Anyway, I digress. Focus. So, so then you ask yourself, why am I feeling this way, right? And then I
Mm.
realized at that point, I was making it about me.
Right.
It wasn't about me. It was about the child. What does the child need?
Mm.
Right? Why is this happening? And it's not happening because it's not necessarily because of me.
Mm.
Because initially you'll be like, me, what did I do wrong? What am I doing wrong as a parent? I've done
Mm.
everything right, but this is not where it's supposed to be. So then you realize, like, it's not about me. I just need to stop being so self-absorbed. It's not about you, it's about the child. And then once you because I realized that once I got out of that space, now you're like, okay, how do I best help this child?
Mm.
It's not about me, it's about the child. Yes, I think I mentioned earlier, like one of the diagnosis, the treatment we had to give my child medication, and like, this seems like I failed as a parent. Now I need medication to help my child. But like, no, it's not about me. It's about the child, and that's what the child needs. So it
How did
just,
you get to that understanding?
well, it was a lot of introspection, talking to
Right.
strangers.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And
Mm.
also
You
I must
remind me of that
say,
book.
yeah.
You remind me about that book.
Oh, the book. I actually have it. Oh, yeah, talking to strangers. I have the book right here.
A magician.
It's like, yeah. But also, I remember one thing my father-in-law said to me was like, if this was diabetes, would you have a problem with it?
Mm.
I was like, would you say, no, I'm not going to give my child insulin? You know, so what's the
I'm
difference?
pissed.
You know, and then I was like, yeah, it's just it's the same thing. He needs them to help him navigate his day, just to
Mm-hmm.
focus. So why not? And also talking to strangers. I remember I told you I'd go to the park. I met
Mm.
these two. Okay, it was a guy and a lady, and one was dyslexic, the other one had ADHD, and they were diagnosed when they were kids. I think about 6. So when I was just telling them, some of the things I'm struggling with, and they're like, yeah. One of them said, then explained to me what would be happening in her world and how she struggles through school until she got medication. So for instance, with her ADHD, she said to me, you know what, it's like watching 10 movies at the same time. And you just
Mm.
you can't concentrate, but because they're just a lot. So they, I think, because before I would go online and on the internet, and you just get a lot of terrible worst case scenario stories. I mean, which also made me realize that we don't tell good stories and they don't sell.
Right.
Because if I
Right.
go and talk about how wonderful, this medication helped me, no one doesn't want to hear that. So most of the stories you get here is like, this is
What the
terrible. I had
market
the
wants.
worst, I had the worst experience ever. So I used to get that. So now when I talked to an adult, we had actually gone through it. And I also realized that I used to talk to parents, but parents had not experienced, they didn't have the lived experience. They were talking to them about how their children, how they perceived it to be impacting
Yes,
their
children, yeah.
children. So it
Yeah.
wasn't their own lived experience.
Lived experience, yeah.
When I talk to people who had the lived experience, who could tell me, I remember one of the ladies said to me, you know what, she started taking her medication, and then she stopped until when she was around 16. And she wished she hadn't, because she only managed to get her life back together around her 30s. That's when she actually now went back to school, got her degree. She was a bright or A-star student in high school, but because now she wasn't on her medication, she just could not, she's the one that telling me about watching 10 movies at the same time. So you never get to finish anything. You never really get
Right.
to take in anything. So yeah, and then it was only in her 30s when she realized, like, oh, this is why. So that really helped me to also just like, okay, become comfortable and understand, because I didn't have the lived experience. It was
Right.
just my reaction was really more from fear than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now you have the tools you need to help your baby.
It's a journey.
Right.
I think it's a journey that does not necessarily have a destination.
Mm.
Yeah.
But
But,
it's
but
better than it was.
definitely, I'll say it's much better, and we're in a better place,
Mm.
it's not easy, but you're in a better
Right.
place because now there's a community out there. There
Yeah.
are people that can help you navigate and that can help him. And I'm not, you said it takes a village to raise a child. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just me who has to
Yeah.
do this. So yeah, it's better, it's definitely much better. I don't beat myself up as much.
Mm. Yeah. Now you've resolved one of the biggest challenges that you were dealing with in the time, which is defining this problem first, uh, having to make peace with it, and finding solutions that could work. And now you still have to deal with your career. How did that evolve?
So on a career path, I read this book, and I think everyone needs to read this book. Like, how do you measure your life?
Mm,
It also touches on, career and personal life, and just saying, at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, what do you want to be known for? What should be written on your tombstone? Is it so? Then that helps you choose what you should be chasing,
mm.
and just getting that balance.
Perspective, yeah.
Yeah, and then that perspective, which I think from a career perspective, I found that, I want to be doing something that is more purpose driven.
Right.
And that's where I'll get my fulfillment. And I think when you get to a certain point, they call them what,
Not many.
hygiene
Yeah.
factors. So
Right.
the hygiene factors are the salary, your salary, your benefits and stuff. Because initially, maybe when you're starting, you are chasing those so much, but you're not
Mm.
necessarily chasing what gives you
Fulfillment.
exactly what gives you fulfillment. So then you realize now you get to a certain point where those hygiene factors are covered. Now,
Mm.
and I'm fortunate to be in that position to say, the hygiene factors are covered. I can chase fulfillment, the work
Yeah.
that I'm doing. And also, once one of the exercises that I had to do when we're doing the MBA is like define the purpose. And once I defined that purpose, I realized like the work, I'm in social impact. I mean, that I'm in
Yeah.
social
Yeah.
impact space.
Right.
That's where I am right now, and that can take different forms, right?
Right.
As long as, so I can be doing maybe in an impact investing space, but ultimately, what am I there for? I'm chasing impact, social impact. So that has given me like more clarity in terms of what roles I chase,
Yeah.
which companies I choose to work for, because
Mm-hmm.
when I'm looking, I'm looking at, will I be able to fulfill my purpose that I've defined? Like, this is at the end of the day, what, when I look back and I'm to write the story of my life, that can be seen like, oh, this I was chasing, impact and purpose. So that has just
So,
a career perspective that has just really helped me.
yeah. So, sometimes when we go through pain,
Mm.
then we realize the true essence of our lives. For example, you have confronted, excuse me, one of the most scary, challenges you will face in your life. And now you realize what you hold dear in your life, which is your family and a career that gives you fulfillment when you go home in the night. Now, I'm curious to understand, at any point in that process, did you see your life through the eyes of your mother? Like, okay, so you know how when we were growing up, at the early stages of your life, you adore your parents like they are the best thing in the world. And then at a certain point, you begin to see some of the flaws and you become rebellious and things like that. And now
Yeah,
you are a parent, you realize how much they've struggled, what they've sacrificed. You adore them again. You know,
yes,
the adoration stage comes in, you write off the wrongs, you forgive them for any mistakes and I was wondering, did you at any point in that period see your life through the eyes of your mother and you are like, okay, so this is what she would have done, or okay, this is what I need to do now that I have some of the tools that she didn't have.
yes. I think earlier I did say that I understand my mother and I appreciate her so much
Yeah,
more. Um, and the lessons that there's so many lessons that I take from her, even in terms of, and I'll tell you this, I'll give you an example. I remember I was in grade 4. My mother, now I realize like she sacrificed a lot. I wanted a bicycle.
yeah,
Yeah. She got me this pink bicycle. I remember it was, I don't know, probably some label. I think it was called Comda or something, but it was the most, I loved it so much. But I don't think at that time I appreciated it as much as I do now, because
right.
I understand the sacrifices that she went to get me that. But she also instilled a sense of discipline, of understanding that you don't always, she, yes, there's special moments where you sacrifice, but you don't do that all the time. You don't just give you everything you want because, but even though in our scarcity, there's special moments that
Mm,
we need to celebrate and to hold dear, and
hmm.
we need to go the extra mile. And those are some of the things that I now try to, as I'm parenting, like, what, yes, I'm in a different situation, but that discipline, that fiscal responsibility of understanding the value of work and money. You don't just get because it's there, doesn't mean you're just gonna do it. It's something that now I'm actually taking from when as I'm raising my kids. It's like, no, you need to be responsible. The world doesn't owe you anything.
Right.
And you need to be resilient.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that although we're coming from different viewpoints, but I'm taking those lessons because they are very much applicable now. And I'll tell you this: when I went in high school, I went to boarding school, and my mom would give me my budget. This is your money. Because if you're buying tag, food, anything that's required, this is it. So I had to budget and say, okay, this is. So then now, yes, if I want more biscuits, I have to go and buy the cheaper ones because I want quantity. So that just taught me a lot. And then I realized, like, at that time, I didn't really appreciate the lessons I was learning. But right now, it's also now something that I try to impart to my kids. Like, no, they need to make those decisions and decide what's important, what's not important. Where do I focus my resources on?
Right.
Maybe at a young age right now, like, yeah, this is the budget. You want something? You've got, yeah. So you choose if you want that big Lego. Does your money? No, it doesn't. Choose what, live within your means, child.
I like that.
So yeah, no, I've taken quite a lot of lessons from my mom and other people around me as well. Let me also just add that.
What could you say is the best way you've been able to pass on your values to your children?
I think through conversations and doing. And before we had kids, I used to watch a lot of TV series. I'll tell you now I don't watch a lot of TV because one of the things I realized I needed to limit the amount of screen time my kids watch. But it meant I had to limit it for myself so that they learn that we watch TV at a specific time. We have family time. We have dinner time together. We're sitting as a family because I find that's when some of those conversations, some of those values. So now my son, because family is very important for me, he'll be like, it's Friday, it's game night, it's family time. Everybody needs to be, and now we don't, it's not something, then you just realize like, oh, they're picking up some of those things, where like it's family time, we here, no gadgets, or usually because it's kids, we play games, like board games. I mean, we play a lot of board games. So, but then, and I remember his uncle, at this show that was coming up, and my son came rounding up everybody's age. He came rounding up all of us like, it's family time. We need to watch Uncle Ria's show. And then and he paused. It's like, Mama, come, it's family time. So yes, I was like, oh, I'm busy, but I was so proud. I was like, the fact that now they know that family is important. We need to have time for each other. And they actually want to carve out time for that. Has been amazing. But I just find, just doing normal everyday things. Because that's where they say culture is the invisible influencer in all our lives, but it's not, you can't touch it. But then how do you create that culture? It's by just doing things and making sure that we are consistent. When we do that, especially at this young age, and before you know it, they've picked up some of those things.
How old are they now, your children?
8 and 6.
It's getting to that age of leaving home. Are you worried?
8 and 6. Please, I still have 10 years. Don't scare me.
Have you thought
Often I still
about
have
it?
10 years
Mm,
before they leave or before the oldest leave the house.
mhm.
Yeah. Because
So,
otherwise, no. Of course, I'm worried. I worry about the time when they don't need me anymore.
mm.
When they get into their teenage years and I'm a nuisance. I do worry
Uh,
those times. Yeah.
I feel like that for my mom, that she's getting old. I
Yeah.
wish she would never get old.
Well, it is part of life. I mean, I feel like my mom is 81, so you're always there where you're like, she's getting old, and uh, but I guess it's part of life, and I was like, now I'm choosing to celebrate the fact that I've been fortunate
Yeah,
to to be
enjoy
in a
her company.
position where my mom gets to see my kids get to uh, to know their grandparents.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a very privileged position.
It
Uh,
is.
yeah, so I'm grateful for that.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So let's go back to the past again.
Yes.
So now, for some people who are piloting their career, that moment where the exact point where you had to deal with those conflicting scenarios of choosing what to prioritize, most
Mhm.
times that's when things really go bad. And of course, I suppose, you know, there is a lot of credit to be given to your man because, obviously he would have played crucial role in, removing some of the burden from you. But still, that point of maybe because I'm not around all the time, that's why he's not getting the attention he deserves. And, that could have been the end of your career. So did you ever think of giving up something in that period?
Um, yes, not it's not a hard yes, but it was more of like maybe defer.
Mm,
Not give up, but like maybe defer.
mm,
Um, but then one of the things that we then realized is that support, and you bring
yeah.
out a very important, the community that you have
Mm,
around you is
mm,
very critical, right?
yeah.
So where now I remember one of my friends, and because I'm not living in my home country, your
Right.
community tends to be a little bit smaller. I mean, you don't have lots of family around. Like when I grew up, there's always an aunt and uncle, a cousin, there.
Hmm.
So you rely so much on the community, your friends. And one of my friends would come every Sunday, take my kids to church after church, because I'll be doing my assignments.
Mm,
And then after church, they go to the park, spend the whole day with them. So that lifted the burden from not just me, but also my husband. Because
right.
if it's not me, it's my husband with the kids. So then he also
Right.
got to have time away. And I remember, like, then we used to swap on days when I had classes and things were really hectic. She would come, pick up the kids, take them to school, and pick them up again. So just having that community, I mean, like I had friends who'd be like, okay, no, you know what? You need to get out of your head.
Yeah.
We're taking you away from this, so just you
Yeah.
just breathe. So just having that community and support really helps, because otherwise you might drop the ball. So having a supportive
Mm,
network is very critical. I mean, you need people to hold
mm,
you when sometimes you feel like
mm.
you're failing.
Right.
Mhm.
Do you still have that good relationship with your siblings up to now?
Yes, actually, last weekend, my sister came to visit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, my kids were happy. We stay in different countries, so she came to
Yeah.
visit. We spent a couple of days together, and yeah, we do try. I think now it's with technology, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes even like your video calls, you get to, it's not just a voice. You kind of feel like we see each other.
Right.
Although you're just because you get to talk quite often. So yeah.
Hmm. I still have a few more questions for you, but I see that it's 8. So would you want to extend our time, maybe?
Let me check. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Give me a minute.
No problem.
Yeah, I can do about 10 more minutes.
Right. Well, obviously you have a lot of tools that have helped you to, manage your personal aspirations, your family commitments, your community commitments, and and still remain, yourself. So, are there tools that has helped you, maybe technology tools or other best practices that has helped you? Because for some people to manage just their own personal career is a big, 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 big deal. So, yeah, what has helped?
So we have a joint calendar.
Right.
Like a joint planner. When something comes up, you put it on the joint planner. And also, so that's like a planner. Actually, at some point, I used to have a written one, especially when I was studying, to say this is, just to plan my day. So that really helps, just so that everybody's on the same page. Like we have a WhatsApp group for my house.
Okay.
So everybody is on the same page. This is what's needed. This is that.
That's
And what
smart.
yeah. But also the reason being is I don't need to do everything myself, right? So you share the burden and
Mm,
everybody knows what's happening. So because I know, especially for us women, you tend to want to carry the entire load, but no, we don't have to do that. So now I don't have to go, like maybe in the house, I don't have to go and buy bread. We don't have bread. So everybody knows this is here. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm at the shops. Instead of me thinking I'll do it when I'm done with this, everybody comes to the table. So that has really that has helped. And when you get something, especially with just organizing kids' activities, the shared calendar helps because then everybody knows today, sports day, this is what's happening. So it doesn't follow me to be always mentally thinking this needs to happen because I'm not taking the kids to school. Someone else is like, oh, today is Friday. They've got a match. Is their backpacked? It doesn't follow. Right. So yeah, so I find that really helps. And other things that also help is just asking for help. I don't need to
mm,
do everything. Even at work, I know someone knows the information. Instead of me spending time, hey, you have this, can I get this? So just using the network that is around me just
right.
help. I don't need to do everything myself. So that has really helped. And there's this amazing app called Calm. When you just want that wholesome moment.
Hmm.
Yes, then you just listen, like, okay, because that also just helps with centering yourself. But I remember when things were really, really tough and I was not taking a lot of breaks, I used to use an app. I'm forgetting the name, but this amazing app. So where I would track the amount of, like, just in terms of my productivity. I think it was called Forest. So I said the amount of time I'm concentrating, I'm going to concentrate for 30 minutes and I'll take a 10-minute break. So if I keep to those, what I've set, it then grows like a tree. You get a tree. So, and what was really good about it, I think it was actually run by a nonprofit with the app. For every tree you grow, they would then actually plant an actual tree.
I'm sure it's true.
Yes.
Wow.
But this was just, it would check. So especially when I was studying, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna study. This is my me time. This is the time that I'm resting. This is the time that I'm spending with it." Like I had to be very militant. I had to be very militant. No, yeah, I had to be very militant about my time because focus. You want to do all this multitasking and all that. And like, no, this multitasking business, or for me, didn't work because then, so I had to make sure that I'm kind of, so those apps, so there was that app. There's also another app called Pomodoro app where you can then, every time after your 20 minutes is up, an alarm goes. So then I'll know, okay, this 20 minutes, this is what I managed to do. Or my mind was digressing and everywhere. So I wasn't productive. So it also helped me to keep myself accountable.
Impressive.
So yes, I think those are some of the tools, technological and non-technological tools that are used.
Now, speak to a young person who, is struggling to find a balance or going through some trial moments and, you know, almost can't deal right now. What would you want to tell that person?
Well, I guess situations vary,
Yeah.
but what I'll tell this, especially when you're young, right? Like if you think about the rest of your life, suppose you're going to live up to 80 and you're
Mm,
20, right? And then if you're going through some challenging times and you want to give up, because usually some of this, like I said, it depends. Some of these things, let's say I'm studying and I'm going through challenging times, you know what? Maybe your studies are for 3 years
mm,
compared to the next 60 years
60
after
years.
that you're going to
Mm,
live. So at the end, like keep your eyes, what's your North Star? And have that North Star of where you want to go. And you know what? Your North Star might change. It might, in most cases, it will change actually, because nothing, especially in this day and age where things are very fast moving and agile, the world is changing, your North Star might change. But as you're going through something, think like, why am I doing this? What is that
yeah.
North Star? And that should keep you motivated. And you need to define that North Star. You are the one who define it. No one else can do it for you.
Mm,
And because I always talk like I've got like young nieces, like, oh no, school is hard. Now I have all these assignments, and then my boyfriend, and then
mm.
this. Like, child,
Ciao.
you're at this point in time, your only responsibility in life, for those that are privileged enough, is to be a
Mm,
student.
mm,
That's it.
mm-hmm.
For those who are privileged enough to have someone paying for their fees and stuff, that's your responsibility. Nothing else. You're not worried about paying bills. You're not worried
Right.
about these. What I'm saying, talking for those who have someone doing it for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then for those who maybe are doing it for themselves, it's also just to realize, like, you know what, I'm going through this, I'm sacrificing this, but it's for 2 years, or it's for three
Right.
years, it's for four
Right.
years.
Right.
It's tough as you go through it, but at the end of the day, and it's disheartening, especially when you see your peers flourishing.
Yes.
You feel like, yeah, you're not going anywhere. But no, you're not stuck because everyone's journey is different.
But then it takes a lot of effort to clearly define that North Star, right?
It does. It does. Yeah. It's that process of being uncomfortable. It's an
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable because I find because there's one of defining it, and then there's
Mm.
the other aspect. Of course, we want
Sticking
to.
with it.
Yeah. No, we also want instant gratification, right?
Right,
People,
right, right.
okay, I've decided this is where I want my career to be. This is what needs to happen, but it's not moving. You feel like
Mm.
it's not moving,
Yeah.
and but I remember listening to this talk, and this guy was, I think it's called Career Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Was talking about careers being like carpets, like Persian
Mm.
carpet.
Right.
You look at a Persian. Let me get one for you.
Okay.
No, I like this analogy, right? This is
Yeah.
this is like a proper one. But
Right.
if you look at it, it has
Yeah.
different styles, different colors, different
Yeah.
there's some
Patterns.
areas which are solid and some
Mm-hmm.
you've got like little splotches and what. So what it's just saying is the experiences, everything that you experience helps carve out, who you are, even your
Right.
career, the experience you get, maybe that job that you didn't really like, there are skills that you're getting from that job. What are
Mm-hmm.
the skills that you're getting? Maybe right now things are not going well. I used to sell stuff. I don't know what they're called in the rest of the continent. They're called freezers. It's like this juice that gets frozen and it's in a little
Mm.
plastic bag. When you think
Mm-hmm.
that I used to sell that so that I can make money, but then realize what are the skills that I'm getting? It's a tough time. Now I have to go and sell, but you're getting some skills. Customer service and marketing. I have to engage with people and convince them to buy my stuff. I have to know where's the right spot for me to go and stand, where I get enough traffic. Those are skills that I'm actually
Right.
learning. So it's like,
Right.
don't disregard the experiences that you go. Yes, it's tough, but part of that is building resilience.
Mm.
And it's about getting, once you get through that and you look back, you actually realize you're a lot stronger and you're in a better place. One of my favorite authors, Terry Pratchett, says, coming back where you started is never
Mm.
this, it's not the same as never having left.
Say that again, please.
Coming back to where you started is not the same as never having left,
Mm.
because you have grown, your viewpoint is different. Now, when you go on the next part, you have a different viewpoint than the first time that you embarked on that journey. So I think sometimes,
Powerful.
yeah, get difficult times are a part of life. And that's where that resilience comes in, like what's my North Star? What am I working towards? And also just introspection and think like this difficult thing that I'm going through, if I keep on it, is it taking me to where I want to go?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's also good to say, what, this thing that I'm going through, and I'm just laboring, but maybe it's not taking me to where I want to go. So that's where
Mm.
a lot of self introspection and reflection, even writing a journal.
Mm.
Remember, I used to write to journal a lot. It's quite fascinating when you look back and you read the stuff that maybe you wrote 6 months ago and where you were 6 months ago and where you
Mm.
are now. Because sometimes you don't get to see the progress. It's like when you're living with a child, right? You don't get to see that they are growing taller.
Mm.
And then someone who hasn't seen them in 6 months will come and like, oh my God, you have grown tall. And to me, it's like, has she looks the same. You don't get to see it. But when you take a step back and you kind of reflect and you read back, it's like, you know what? Actually, a lot has changed. So sometimes that self reflection takes us out of that slump of thinking, whoa, me, things are always, bad things, nothing is moving in my life. Yeah, I feel like I'm rambling.
No, you are sharing wisdom. You are sharing secrets of life. You are sharing precious words that can and shouldn't be missed. So Thank you.
No, my niece is always like, oh, there you go again, auntie.
Uh,
So yeah.
well, before I leave you, before I let you go, would you at any point consider going to teach?
Actually, one of the things that I thought I would do um, in my later years is
Mm-hmm.
maybe lecturing.
Yeah,
So it's something that, yeah, I would want to do. I feel there's value in imparting
yeah,
experiences and
you'll be very
knowledge.
good.
Yeah.
Well,
So
thank you so much, for joining us to make history, for joining me to make history today. Um, you were so excited about this, and I'm also thrilled that we had a good conversation, disrupted briefly by ECG, but still we
that's part of
managed to
life.
end on the island. Yeah,
A good lesson. Nothing
yeah,
ever goes as planned, but I'm really thank you so much for letting me be part of this journey. And I see we almost reaching that
yeah, yeah,
96. So
yeah.
I'm super proud of what you've managed to achieve, and I think after this you deserve a good break. You and your team.
I do.
Yeah, but thank you and all the best. I can't
Thank you,
wait
precious.
to see this. Next, I used to buy, the Guinness Book of Records back in
Oh
the day.
yeah.
Yeah, I used to buy and then just go through. So I can't wait
Ah,
to
the
open
next one will
one.
have my face in it.
Exactly. I can't wait for that. I'm like, oh, yeah.
I remember this guy. I was there.
Yes. So I'm super excited for you and just everybody else has been part of this journey. I mean, amazing and well done.
Thank you. Thank you
Uh,
so much. Thank
uh,
you. Have a nice one.
you too, Tom Chris. Bye. Now, how do I log out?
Just exit. You see the door. I
Oh,
think.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Thank you so much. My girl. Hey. Uh, is that you? Okay. Right. We will have our conversation today. Okay. For those who don't know, this is my big sister's baby, my big sister's first daughter. And I remember when I used to carry her in my hand like this, one tiny baby like that, just like this. And now she's a full grown adult. Okay, please introduce yourself to our online guests. Is the sound okay? I want to be sure that the sound is very good. Mhm. Are we ready? Okay, let's start over again. So look over to the camera there. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Shalom, Chinechere, and I'm an ex-student of Anambra State University. I graduated last year, and right now I am doing a business in the hair industry, extensions side. I also run like there's some services like wigging, revamping, everything.
Yeah.
Part
That
of
is
the
nice,
hair,
nice
yeah, part of the
things.
hair, yeah.
Okay. Now I want to go back to the very, very beginning. Um, what does it feel like to be the only daughter of your parents?
It's amazing because um I get to do better or
Okay.
like prioritize something. Um, and also I try to like do my best because I know that if I fuck up, it's just me.
Language.
And my parents are like expecting a lot. Like they should be expecting that I should set my standards straight, my boundaries straight, so that I won't make wrong choices. You know, because when you're the only girl, it's expected that you should at least be the best.
Yeah. Okay. So why did you choose to have the business of hair extensions?
Actually, I like beauty a lot.
Okay.
So, and while I was growing up, I was also trying to find my way out of life.
Yeah.
And first of all, I started with skincare.
Right.
That was like 2019, 2020.
Mhm.
But then my parents did not like want to support because they're like, go to school,
Right.
graduate, other stuff. But then again, I was not really like stayed, I was not feeling it that much. So, and I went to baking, like I started baking until I had the accident on my face that almost took my beauty away. So my father said I should stop. But then again, I got inspired by a lady online that is successful in the hair business, and I was like, I want to try this. Let me just try it and see how I would do. Then I didn't even have the money to like go and learn it or something like that. But then again, I was like trying to learn a few things online, and I just started. I was like, let me just see how I'll do in the business. I started, and then to God be the glory. I started to pick up, like I started like rendering the services to people, and I was able to like save up to pay online, but I cannot go because I have school, and my parents would never allow me to.
Just to be sure that people are getting what you're saying, you learn all those things on YouTube.
I learned part of it on YouTube, and I actually paid because people will
Okay.
not really give you. People on YouTube are kind of selfish.
Okay.
So they
So
feel like
there are
maybe
some
if
that you still needed the
mhm,
physical touch to.
yes, if
Okay.
they paid for a class to actually learn it, so you should pay too.
Right.
So I paid for online classes, and I started like learning. I started practicing on my own. There was not really much guide, but I was just learning the mistakes because if I make a mistake, I'm not that it's not really how this person's one is. So
Yeah.
I'll go online and still check how her results and check my result. And if it's not
Compatible.
to get out like no, I have to try again.
Right.
So that was how I continued to try. And now I can say, okay, that I'm better than I was.
We're talking of the hair you're wearing. You made that one.
It's like
Okay. Everyone, she made the hair she's wearing now.
I ventilated the frontal myself.
Right.
It's blending.
Okay. And you make different styles and not
Yes,
just this one.
yes.
Tell us about that.
Mm. I I drop ship right now because I can't afford like to buy hairs directly from the factory now. So I post with people's like inspo and all that, so that if anybody orders hair from me, I'll have to like buy it from the factory and then make it to the design that I posted and then give it to the person. But right now, not everybody really want to trust the process like that.
Mhm.
So they want to see what they are buying and it's actually fine. So right now I'm like patient with it because I started the hair business like on June, early this year, yes, but I've been rendering service for over like 1 year plus.
Okay.
So I was like, to increase my expense and to increase my profits, I have to like start the hair business so that I can actually manage myself properly.
Okay. Have you been making money?
I will not say that I've been making money. I'm just growing the business, so I have to buy uh, stuff for
Yeah.
the business.
But
Like
you're
I'm thinking
making
like to
pocket
make
money
like
at least. But you're making pocket money at least.
because now that I'm done with school, parents will be like, yeah, running something, you're doing something. So they feel like, okay, like they are relieved of some expense. So
Right.
now I feel like right now I just got myself. So I need to like put my hands into something that will give me more money and
Yeah.
not just
Change. A
so
girl
that's
wants
actually
money. Right. So looking into the future, what do you want the hair to be?
I actually want it to be like a very something for me because actually it's not like I want to just do the hair, like
Okay.
just be in the hair industry.
Right.
I want to be in the whole beauty industry, like including the makeup, the fashion inside, the bags, the shoes, all of that.
Yeah.
But then I was like telling few of my friends, like, I want to do this, I want to do it. Like, you have to find a niche.
Yeah.
You have to do this. People should know you for this. But then again, I always trust myself that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And the fact that hair is part of the beauty industry, why not add it like clothes, a bag, a shoe? It's part of the whole outfit that a woman should like look out for. So I'm thinking of building like a big fashion hall that's comprised of clothes, shoes, hair bags, all of those things. But I feel like, okay, I have a brand name already. That's magnific. But right now, I am using Mag Hair Culture. That's like Magnific Hair Culture, but I don't want the name to be too long, so I shortened it to be Mag.
Okay.
Yeah, Mag Hair Culture. But if I'm to start like a very big something, it has to be like Magnific. Then each line of beauty and all that has to be like, okay, Mag Fashion, Mag this, Mag Bags, Mag
Yeah.
this thing.
Where did that name come from?
The Magni, I was just thinking of something to give my brand, and I cannot just be like Shalom
Yeah.
this kind of. So I went online. I was checking for names. I was like, okay, I'm doing things close to perfection. So it has to be like beautiful. It has to be like something that if you tell somebody about it, to write, okay, this is actually cute. So I started looking for names that suit the whole thing. So I was like, this is magnificent. So I actually started like looking for the word magnificent online to know like the real meaning of it. Because I feel like okay, it has like other meanings. And I found out that it was not just like an English word, it was I think a French word.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's cool. I went to Instagram, I was like, okay, maybe some people have taken to me. So I had to like look for something to add at the back so that someone will not be like I copied or so I was like, okay, the culture there is like and it's like origin. So if someone sees the person, be like, okay, this person is either from a black country or something like it sounds so like at least if I'm saying it, it feels like as if it's from
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Africa.
magnific. Je magnifique.
Yes, because the magnific already is not like an English word. So the culture there feels like more cool.
Yeah.
Than
Great. Okay, so knowing you and knowing your parents, um, I have an idea of the answer to this question, but let me see what you think. Where do you think this preference for the beauty business, where do you think it came from?
Keep my mom. She likes all those things. But before way back,
Yeah.
she didn't really do all of that because the money wasn't really
Yeah.
there. But now like God is being faithful. I can see it on her like and I feel like if there is more money, she will do very much better.
Yeah. And she was into the fashion business early then, and she had a catering business, cake business. What was it called again?
The bakery.
Bakery business. Yeah, she had a
She
bakery
doesn't
business.
really bake the cake, just the whole equipment for it, materials like the flour, the
The
butter,
things
and
are there. Yeah. I remember when in 2001 or thereabout, in between that period when I started living with her. I remember then she had this shop at Nobi Road where she used to do the fashion business. And then from there, she also did the catering business, the bakery business. Yeah. Before eventually she decided to move from there. So now you are coming to take the gene to the next level. Right. Okay. So, but when I also know that there was a time when it was like everybody wanted you to do this or that or that. Or why did you maintain this particular business as your choice?
I'm also was like at some point said that I should even leave because I was studying to move into nursing because it feels like professional courses are like they give more money. But then again, I know what I ventured into. I have made some research about the beauty industry, even the hair industry. So it gives a lot of money. And if you know what you're doing, you will have more money, more than someone that is even a lawyer or a doctor and stuff like that. So me, it's not that I want to just be in the beauty industry. I just feel like this is
This is your passion.
part of me. But then again, I don't want to also just remain there.
Right.
Yeah, I want to further too. I want to like do my master's and study like international law. So I actually want to prove to her that um it's limitless. You can be whoever you want to and still do what you want to do. So she's just like, if you do this one, you just do there. If you do this one, you just live there. If you do this one, you just live there. But she doesn't do that. She doesn't know that you can be everywhere and still maintain a particular place.
Mm.
Yeah.
But you know, she's saying it out of love and
She's
she
saying
doesn't want
because
her baby girl to suffer in this life chasing money.
we're in the 21st century and like internet is everywhere. So I can get people to do those things and still take the credits.
Mm.
And
As the boss of
yes,
the boss of
so
my girl.
yeah, because most of all this like mentioned like a company like Fendi, Gucci, it's not like the CEO just remaining at the back of the desk trying to manage all those things. They have people doing it, and then at the end of the year, you get your sales,
Mm.
and then they will check it. If you're stealing from them, they will know.
Mm.
So it's more like getting people to manage the
Different
business,
aspects of the
yes,
business.
properly, and then you knowing that if anybody asks for market, they'll be like, okay, they might not really know who is behind it, but they'll know that your company is running.
Right.
Yes, that is just it. So I want her to see that you can whoever you want to be.
I know your wisdom came from your dad.
Yeah, but at the same time, my dad is like putting his head in the. He was like, if you knew that it was this thing I wanted to do, you would have just gone to pay one lady to teach me how to make hair, all this thing. I was like, that is not the kind of hair business I'm talking about.
You are from the 21st century.
Because that it does not give like you continue to braid. I was like, no, that's not it. You can be anywhere and still run your business. You just have to put some certain things in certain places so that people will know that okay, if they order from you, you can easily give them what they want without you even touching the product.
Mm.
Yeah,
But
so
you know that this is also part of you proving that you know what you're about, because assuming that you decided to do this and nobody even questioned it, then it might mean that either they understand exactly what you're saying, or you are not as important as you thought to them. Because you're important, they want to protect you from anything and everything that might hurt you.
she's talking about me studying nursing. Just like friend's daughter is earning like 4 million plus in a month. And I was like, I can make more than that.
Oh, that is parents for you. Don't worry about those. That is
So
parents
just
for
like
you.
international relations and moved to nursing and she started like, how would I study arts in secondary school and then all of a sudden I'm studying, like, if you don't know your path, if you don't know the place that you want to be in life, that you be like, okay, let's try this, let's try it. But I feel like science is not really for me. Though I can just know the basic things like, let me say, first aid, something to do when someone is having seizure, all those little things. But that does not mean that I want to venture into it fully.
Right.
You get that kind?
Yeah.
So I just want to like have some knowledge, but I don't want to. I feel like this is where I am.
Right. I got you. Okay. Let's talk about another subject, which is the pressure of being a young lady who looks as beautiful as you look in this our day and time. So how have you been able to maintain your head?
Or the fear of my parents.
Mhm.
The fear of your parents is the beginning of wisdom.
Yes, number one. I like your honesty because yes, I know where you came from. So I know that you're an honest person. So yeah,
I
tell
can
tell
actually,
tell the young ladies online
you
because
have to know your background.
yeah.
You don't have to please everybody,
Mhm.
even if you try to. Me, I don't know. Sometimes some people like I'm weird, but then like that's just like a gift because God's not expecting me to be like every other person. Because if you're like every other person, you'll not really have anything special to give. So I just feel like, okay, I'm always, sometimes I'll just post on my status like, I identify as a billionaire. They'll be like, this is what I'm saying. But me, I know where I'm going. Even if it might not seem or look like that, I know where I'm going. So if I think of where I'm going, I will not want to do some certain things.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, this is just the pressure right now. But I still have like a lot of years ahead to live. So even if I don't have those things now, I can still have it later. So if the pressure is coming, I'll be like, if I have the money, I can get it.
Yes.
So I'll just leave it like that and just not stress myself so much. And also, like, I know that if I fuck up and my parents hear about it will be very, very sad and they will not really like, they'll be like, the only girl they have is doing this, the only girl they have is fucking up like this, like what to people. And the fact that I see my parents like going for evangelism, preaching to other people, and then me, I will not be like doing what I have to do,
Mhm.
doing the opposite. It feels somehow. And then the disgrace in it too. And you're pushing at your daughter is this, you're pushing at your daughter is there, everything. No. So sometimes I like try to like call myself clearly. Your parents are your priorities. Try to focus. Life is still, you have a lot of future ahead, so don't really like put your mind into certain things and just do what you have to do and then allow God to do the rest. Like,
But also, you know, one thing else, one other thing uh that we must also acknowledge is the hand of God because there are so many other young ladies that would have, wanted to honor their parents, be good, but temptation came and carried them because the hand of God, which has been on you. I remember it since when you were a child, you first your parents know God, and second, you know God for yourself. So that leading of the Holy Spirit has also played a key role in your life. Would you think so? Mm-hmm.
yes, yes, because I know because my mom say has always been praying, and there are times that I will not say it is my conscience that is trying to like guilt trip me sometimes. I'll say it's actually the spirit of God that is trying to call me back and tell me that I should know my roots, like know where I belong. So if I think of those things, I'll be like, some people don't really have recovery. So I will just call myself back home. Like I know my roots. I cannot be doing some certain things. I know where I came from. So if I always remind myself of where I'm coming from, I will not have the mind to do what every other person is doing. So I just try to like always remind myself where I'm coming from. Diversity. Even if at some point, because when I was growing up, she doesn't always really allow me go out like that. So I was always having this hunger to leave house. So when I just gained admission for in university, I was like, thank God I've left the house. But then I was not having the freedom like that, because she was always like, every 2 weeks you have to leave this house. Every 2 weeks you have to come back from school. So it was, at first I was like, that she's not really allowing me to do what I have to do. But then as I continued to grow, I just realized that she was just protecting me from the things out there. You get? So at the same time, if I just think about it and think of where I'm going, I don't really want to make some certain choices that I know that it might lead to like frustration or like disappointment. So I just try to hold myself together. Yeah.
Yeah. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I wish every other person in this world is thinking that way. Every other young lady in this world is thinking that way, because there are some young ladies, even their parents are pastors, but then they live. But also, something can be said about how their parents raised them, because it was my face. I was there. I saw some of it. How much investment your parents made in, in you guys' life. I never saw them in my eyes or in my ear quarrel to the extent that people will gather or they are quarreling and the children will hear their voice. I never heard them once settle their differences in front of people. Obviously, everyone has something they want to go another way when they're married or something like that. Um, Being in the position I am now, I respect that more than many things, because it takes two people with strong maturity and also discipline to be able to control their family in such a way that even when they are quarreling, nobody knows they are quarreling. You know, they resolve their issues in their private, they take care of their business in their private, and the children don't even know. All they see is that mom and dad are going out, mommy and daddy, mommy and daddy, you know. So I really, 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 really am so proud of, you, and of course you and your siblings, because you guys have also not brought shame to, it would have been such a surprise if you have finished your university. So I can say this confidently that it would have been such a surprise if you went there because nobody was there with you. Now you think you have escaped. Let me live my life, But you came home the same, even better than when you left, So yeah. As we come closer to the end of the interview session, and you reflect on, you know, because I know sometimes you might not have had this opportunity to, talk to people about this. Now, talk to those young ladies that might be watching this, those in your age made that think, so we are Gen Z, don't tell me anything. Yeah, talk to them.
I would say shouldn't pressure yourself, and though everybody's like trying to keep up with expectations or something like that. But you just need to like just take it slow. Don't really try to impress anybody, because as long as the person is not paying your bills, nobody has like an opinion to give you or something like that, or make choices for you. You just need to make choices for yourself and know what you're happy doing. And even if someone disrespects you because they feel like, or they feel like you are not able to say something for yourself, or like fight the way the person is trying to fight you, you just have to let them go, do your thing. Don't really look at it. Just you should just fuck up. Like
Language.
you should just
Okay, right. What should I expect and what should we expect from again in the future
um
from your company?
it's going to be very good. And
Mhm.
if you're not shopping from me now, I might not know you when it comes to me. So the first time now I'm not blown up. Right now I don't have time.
Where can they find you?
No? On Instagram, on WhatsApp, on TikTok. So I'm not really posting like the hair stuff because I cannot carry people's videos on my page. So currently now I'm very active on WhatsApp. So my WhatsApp number is on my Instagram account. That's like Mad Hair Culture.
How do you spell it?
MAG, then the hair, and then the culture is with K, not
C. Right.
K.
Yeah, not C, but K. So if someone wants to learn how to do that thing, can they come to you and you train them?
And currently, I don't teach.
Okay.
I'm not really that confident. I'm like, okay, I can actually like teach. Maybe I might do it unaware, but
Or if they need very good hair, they should locate you.
Yes.
Good, good. By the way, you're not based in Accra. You only came for a visit. So if someone is in Accra but wants it, you can always do delivery. Yeah. So you're based in Nigeria. And then if you're in Nigeria, obviously you will get your hair quick. If you're in Accra, of course, Magare will send it to you by what if you want flight, if you want boat. Anywhere you are, you can always order from her. So I approve this one. I approve fully, 100%. Okay. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for coming over to see what I'm doing and to support me in this period.
I have to support you now because you've always prioritized me at some certain point. So I have to.
Yeah. As I said before, if uh if I had everything I wish I had, all the wisdom I have in this world, I would invest it in you and your siblings. And, you know, sometimes it's not really about the money, giving the money or this and that. It's about showing people that, yeah, you care about them. And yeah, of course, I value you people a lot. You are like so important to me because I know you are our smartest generation. Yeah, you are the smartest generation that we've ever had. And I was there when you were born. I've seen you grow, and it gives me joy to see you become a beautiful young woman, owning your own business, making your money, and planning your future on, in God's hands. So I pray and I really hope that God will grant all your desires and you will be always remembered as joy, and you will bring joy to everyone that comes, in your world. And you will bring your parents joy, you make them proud. So it takes a lot to be in the position where you are and still be the person you are, disciplined, humble, and loving God. It takes a lot, it takes a lot from in Nigeria where every young lady, is competing with another person and things like that. Our culture is such that, everyone is competing to be the best. Yeah, I see you compete, but you're competing the right way. You're competing with yourself and not other people. Yes. So I want to tell you those things so that, you've heard it from me in private. Now I'm telling you in public, on a global platform. We see you, we value you, we love you, and we appreciate all the struggle, that you have to go through as a young lady growing up. Everyone has a sacrifice that they will have to make. Every person will fight their own fight. Your mother fought her own, and now it's your turn to establish your place in the world. So every generation will face their own fight. Now it's your generation, and I have zero doubt, that you would make something good out of yourself, and it will be so good that you will enjoy the process too. As I said, enjoy your youth so that you don't have regrets when you leave this age and go to the next age. Be a girl so that you can be an adult. But of course, know where to draw the boundaries. Know where to draw the boundaries. Make God your priority. Make God the leader in your life. Commit your ways in the hands of God, and He will direct all your paths. You will get to where you want to be in this life. Probably not how you imagined it, but God has the best plan for everybody. As long as you continue to, do the things that you've started already doing, you will get there. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts you want to express? All right, so look into the camera and do your shout outs first to your parents and your siblings and any other person that those people that have been helping you in your business.
Shout out
Your
to
customers.
my dad, mom, for the privilege to be here. And to my customers, my constant customers, I'm very happy to like be in partner with you guys. And I hope that you see me at the top too, because I'll definitely be at the top.
What about your siblings? You came with your brother.
Yeah, shout out to my brother. Though he has been sleeping a lot.
What about the other ones?
Chibundo, Chibike, Mechiku, all of you. I love you guys.
Your bodyguards.
And to my friends too. One of my friends, Cynthia, but I used to call her Mami Chulo. She's a very good friend of mine, and she helps me a lot. Adnaka Karen, yeah, shout out to her. And to all of my friends, Ada, Amara, Kim, all of them, though we don't really talk that much. Yeah, shout out to all of them.
Everybody is busy. All right. Thank you very much. You have joined us to break a global record. Okay, so let's watch the record get to 96. Huh? On the Zoom. Yeah. We'll transition to him. Okay. We'll transition to him. How did you find Ghana?
I don't know about every other place, but this particular place is like nice.
Okay.
And the fact that there's light, like they don't take it the way they take it in Nigeria.
Ghanaians will say yes.
It's actually good. They are welcoming. Like,
Yeah.
there's this. They're always nice. But Nigerians are always. Everybody just. Well, us are so like toxic and aggressive.
Hey, she not spoiled that.
Aggressive.
Well, this is your first time, so let's hope that when you come again, you still maintain the positive recommendation. That's good. So we are 56 minutes, 57. That's 4 minutes, right?
Yeah, 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay, let's talk about something before we go. Okay. What again? Yes. You don't like wearing jewelries. Okay.
But the ones
Not all
I
the
want
time.
to have are like quite expensive. So it's out of my budget right now. But I have like,
Again, it's being honest.
I'm very, very expensive.
I know.
If I can afford myself.
I know.
God knows.
I know. Okay.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah. You will afford whatever you want.
Because I'm just not stressed.
Yeah. And then it's coming, you will have more than you need. That's good. So did you begin to develop your sense of fashion and taste from watching your mom or from YouTube? Where did you develop your sense of fashion and taste?
I got some from my mom, obviously.
Yeah.
But then she has a certain kind of fashion.
Right.
There's always like pushy, others like cover your body. But me, I think of decency, but at the same time in a very fashionable way that you actually look your age.
It's the generational difference.
Yes.
So
So I got some from my friends to like My friend Odinaka, she helps me to like combine colors because it was not like coming out from there, like the place I'm from, let me say like Anambra, and not even everybody wants to, not everybody's really interested in that.
In fashion.
So I was in boarding school, and then I went to this school that's, it was really weird. So it was more like when I entered university, I started to like learn
Right.
everything that I've learned
Yeah.
so far. So she kind of helped in like putting one or two together. But I can wear like very, very colorful thing up, colorful thing down. I'll now look like clown. So she was like, "Do this with this one will go with this." Right now, too, there's one of my friends could also help because I don't know it also. I feel like, but sometimes I'll just like seek like advice from my parents. Right. Does this go with this well? Is this one better with this?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, you can actually wear it out. Yeah, so with that, I can actually like keep on learning what's my own my body fits.
Yes.
And actually accept. Not
Right.
everybody wear the certain things I wear.
Right.
But I know what I'm wearing and I like it fits me very well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Okay, we are almost there. Almost there. Almost there.
Keep
Is that
delays, so
Shagozi? Oh, okay.
keep delays.
I know, right?
Keep delays.
Yes. They
What
should.
customization
Mm.
can we get from the factory? This is like custom made by me.
Yes. Oh, yes. Very nice.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yay! Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Thank God.
Okay.
Extend it to 100.
Yeah, we're still going. We still have a few people to interview.
I
Okay.
feel so bad actually.
That.
I wanted Nigerians to be like into it like enough, but nobody, no blogger is even moving like as if there's something going on.
Don't worry. We've broken the record. It doesn't matter. The rest will happen.
But the fact that you're Nigerian, that should like recognize.
It's
But you
okay.
are so serious.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. We've broken the record already. All right, Shasha. Thank you so much. Thank you.
For the opportunity.
Oh, take pictures of her, please.
All right.
Please, know my angle, please.
Yes. Remove the water.
Yeah, you put it up.
That was they bring the lady that just entered the building. There's a lady at the front. Bring her here.
All right.
So they're blocking the car.
Wow.
See that?
3, 2, 1. Listen. Three, two, one. That's okay. Calm down. Calm down. Yeah.
I'm not camera one. Just take more. Take more.
All right.
Maybe we can call it that.
Sure, I'll go.
I have asymmetrical face, so I'm always standing like.
Okay. You know your
I don't like this.
Okay.
Mhm.
You know what works for you.
Yes. But I work on that when the money comes.
Beautiful. Oh, just a second. Three, two, one.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, baby girl.
Okay.
All right. Bring on Vok, please.
Okay.
And then Madam will come subsequently.
Hello.
Okay. All right.
You did it. You did it.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
an insane milestone. Congratulations, Tom.
Thank you. Thank
Massive.
you, Vok. Thank you so much. Thank you.
96 hours, 4 days. I'm reflecting back on my last 96 hours and I'm thinking, how is he talking to me? How is he still alive? What is going on here? Congrats, man. That's you called it a marathon, but it
Thank
should have been
you.
called an ultra marathon because that is what you
Thank,
are. An ultra
thank you.
marathon expert. I don't think this is going to be broken. I don't think anybody wants to try to break this. This is a
Thank
superhuman
you
feat.
so much.
I'm smiling ear to ear, I can't believe it. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you kindly. All right. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, my name is Vuk Stych. I'm a bit of a global human. I'm joining you today from Portugal, so we're in the same time zone. That's where I've been for the last 2 years. I'm a Canadian by nationality and a Serbian by birth. So uh, that's a little bit about uh, myself. What I operate is a company called Maverick. We're a small team that assists businesses kind of in implementing technologies to facilitate their business processes. And by education, I'm a mechanical engineer. So, it's been a interesting career full of, I think, some of the same dreams, some of the same passions that you have to share value with the world, right? And that's one of the main things when I saw your journey uh, from a former friend, a former colleague rather, by the name of Prince, who I believe spoke with you earlier, who I met at Engineers Without Borders. I thought, you know what, this is an incredible journey by an incredible person, and I want to be a part of it. But there's a million things you and I could talk about. I don't want to be the one to lead the subject, but what the message that I really want to share, if the time that we have and the energy that you have still, is that anyone out there that's listening, anyone out there that's not listening, with the right focus, can start a solo business that provides them a meaningful life. So that, I'm happy to chat. I'm happy to talk and give you a little break, but I'm also happy for you to lead the conversation. So, um, yeah, I mean, you go ahead. Tell me what do you want to talk about with that topic?
Well, I'm just curious to understand how it feels to be a Canadian living in another country, growing a business and, being as happy as you are.
It feels confusing at times. The beautiful thing about it, I will say, is um, most of my clients are between 4 and 8 hours behind me in the States. So what that really means is, like I said at the top of the message, it's a meaningful life. So what I feel is the ability to wake up, go and enjoy a walk on the beach with my dog and my partner, get some chores done that need to be done, come home, and then lock in and work and bring value. And instead of, the what most people, I would say 99% of the world is used to, which is wake up, go to work, come home, have a little bit of free time, sit down on the couch, watch some TV, go to sleep and repeat it. I really feel that breaking away from that structure has allowed me to live, like I said, a meaningful life, right? Being able to still maintain those connections in the Western part of the world while having a place where I can live and not feel stuck on that treadmill, not feel stuck on that
Yeah.
ride. has been an incredibly uplifting experience. However, the confusing part comes from trying to balance and understand all the immigration policies, all the tax implications, and some of those things are not quite straightforward. And there have definitely been some stumbles and slips that I don't need to dive into now. But I'm sure you can imagine the immigrant journey is never easy. Um, but like I think all of us as humans need to focus on, it's the positive side that matters, right? Whether it's the positive side of a person or the positive side of our situation, I think that's uh,
Right.
the more important thing to focus on, right?
Right.
Is what is the positive things? What is the benefits that we can get out of any situation or anything? So I hope that answers your question. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And it's also interesting that you always tilting towards the positive. When did you realize that you are that kind of person that looks for the good in every situation?
Recently, recently, because coming from a country with conflict, coming from a family with struggle, going to another country as a young boy and learning a new language, figuring out new things, seeing your family still struggle, and it can create a lot of pessimism in a human being. And I was no different. And I would say that this journey has been the biggest, choosing to go somewhere, having my own decisions of what I want to do, building my own business over the last 4+ years. That's really been the start of it. I'm 30 years old, and I would say that for the first 25, 26 years of my life, and even still today, I tend to easily fall into the pessimism. And like I said, building something of my own, controlling the things that I can control, letting go of the things that I cannot control, were a large part of the, realizing that that's an okay. It's okay to let go of some of the negative things that I have no ability to change. The therapy, of course, over the last 3, 4 years has helped as well. Um, but it would be wrong of me to say that I'm always like this. I certainly hoped always and to continue until to find the positivity even in situations where it's tough to find it. But I don't want to paint a picture to say that this is something that I've always had, because it's not, right. And I think I personally think that's a better message, right? I want other people to understand that if you do follow your passions, if you do follow the things that give you energy, even if you are struggling to find the positivity, it'll find you, right? And
Mhm.
it'll be right there in your face. And all that hard work is going to turn into that, right? That's going to be the result of that hard work is going to be the reality is that things you are creating, even if they're through turbulence, they bring positivity. Um,
Mhm.
I've never thought of it like that, which is, I think, what's beautiful about a conversation like this, right? That somebody from an outside perspective can ask you a question and make you reflect like that. So again, I hope that addresses the question that you had, and certainly I hope it doesn't um, give a misrepresentation that it's easy or that it's obvious or that it's immediate or that it's something that anybody who's struggling cannot find.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And in the spirit of that outside insight, eager to also explore the angle that you raised about family. You said family situations that you had. Would you want to shed more light in that direction for better optics to, those who are hearing and watching?
For sure. And it actually ties into some of the conversations that you were having um, just in the last 30 minutes, right? It's never easy, right? When you live in a country where the economy disappears, the country shatters. I don't know what history knowledge you have about the former Yugoslavia and Serbia, where I come from, right? I was born into hyperinflation. Um, my parents had no work. Nobody had work. We were lucky to have some farmland where my grandparents could keep us fed, right? Then came the 1999 bombings of our country, right? And after that came more political unrest. And through a lucky opportunity, my mother had a chance to go and take her knowledge to Canada. And as soon as we got to Canada, that rug was pulled right under us, right? That job that she was provided was taken away, and her diploma was not accepted. So it was, every 2-3 months we were moving. My mother had to go back to school in Canada. But you learn through all that, right? You see, and of course where the conversation that you were having, you see the strife, you see the disputes and the challenges that your parents face, and that spills over to you as a child, right? And it's hard not to um, feel that stress. It's hard not to feel that pressure. It's not easy. It's easy to feel like you're contributing to that, right? But ultimately, through that, it's the knowledge that you learn about the sacrifices that it does take, the ability to take control of your life in the ways that you can control, despite when it feels like maybe there's nothing you can control. It is still possible to fight through that challenge. And it's incredible what our parents teach us through not just the sacrifices that they make for us, but through the ways that they navigate life, right? It's easy to think that just because they gave birth to us that they somehow were given a magical book of knowledge, but they weren't, right? They're just like you and I, and they had to face all these challenges that we saw them face for first time, right? It wasn't as if with us that they had somehow had a wealth of knowledge before, right? They had to learn while growing us, while raising us, while guiding us, and you know, it it's it it's funny how now, as they see me do things in an unorthodox way, right? Say, hey, I'm going to stop being an engineer and I'm going to focus on this technology called Salesforce. Well, actually, I'm going to quit my full-time job and I'm going to start my own company, and I'm going to work solo to help clients. And the see their nurturing spirit still continue, despite 4 years of success and growth in the company. It's always, well, do you need a little bit of money? Do you need do you need a little bit of this? Do you need a little bit of that? Right? It feels good to build something and be able to give back to them, but I think they can never stop trying to give to us, right? That is and I think that's another lesson we can all take, right? No matter where we're at, no matter who's ahead of us, no matter who's behind us, we can always give. We can always provide something of value, and that I think transitions beautifully into the message that I originally wanted to share, or the message that I love to share with everybody from a business perspective. It's that as a solopreneur, particularly, a lot of the lessons that I share is for people who are experts in a specific field, and they want to go and share that knowledge and share that value with other companies. And to me, when you have an expertise and you have a passion to share with others and coach others and build others, you can always build a business, right? That is a business. Being able to share knowledge, being able to take people from a current state to a future state that's better, is where the value exists, right? And that those are the hypotheses that I had when I started my business, right? I said, I've been in this industry, which was implementation of technology to facilitate sales processes, to facilitate service processes, to facilitate marketing processes. I knew that many companies undertake these journeys, and it's not just in that space, in many spaces, right? They say, we're here and we see that we want to get there, right? And they know there's a gap that they have to bridge, right? So as an engineer, I'm always thinking, right, what is the architecture that's going to get us across this gap, right? And sometimes companies don't get it all the way there, right? They either fail and they go back to their beginning state, or they only get halfway there. So so to me, the message that I want people to understand is, if you have a knowledge that says, here's how I get a company from point A to point B, here's how I bridge that gap, you have value, right? There's a value in that knowledge that you can take to market. So as long as that problem that you're solving, the solution that you bring, has a market buoyancy, right? Meaning that there is space for an additional player to provide similar solutions to the ones that exist, or you're confident that you can either solve those problems better or cheaper or faster, or all of those three, right? Then you have a business. You have a value proposition. again, that leans more to the professional services side, but it can go into the arts, right? Somebody can look at a gap on their wall and say, I want a beautiful piece of art, right? So you can go into, if you're artistically talented, you can be the person that fills that gap on their wall, right, with your art. If somebody's looking at their haircut or their hair and they say, well, I'm not one to speak. If they say, hey, I want my hair to look a different way. Well, if you're somebody who loves cutting hair, that's a business, right? Those are businesses. And as long as you're in a space, in an area, in a market that you can say my skills can provide value here, you do have a business. You don't need anybody's help. You don't need to borrow any money. I didn't. You don't need to spend any money in marketing. I didn't. You just need to go out there and connect with people, find the people whose knowledge, find the people where your knowledge can bridge that gap for them. And now there's lots of pillars, not seven, I have 7 pillars that I'd love to talk about and share with people, but I just want to pause there and see how that lands. Is that making sense to you? Any thoughts that you want to guide the conversation towards?
Yeah, it does make sense a lot. It does make sense. You know, one of the things that everyone get, one of the things that really shifts everything, one of the things that shifts everything for everyone is to have that defining moment when you know, okay, this is where I am, and this is how I move to my next direction. Because obviously, as young people, what we really struggle with is direction, not knowing where you're going, not knowing why you are going where you're going. But as long as the choice is yours and the direction is what you've chosen for yourself, then it's easy to, manage the responsibility that comes with each of the actions and choices we make. Uh, okay, so you left the environment that wasn't profitable to you, and you moved into a new environment. You had to start over again. You lost all the assets you built, and the tools that supported you in the previous context. Now it's almost like you are beginning from zero or below zero, and now you
You
are you
know,
are you are yeah. Go ahead.
it's funny, I've never thought of it that way, right? Certainly the career shifted dramatically, right? Where I lived was when I finished my engineering education, I was drafting 3D models of industrial equipment, right? I was creating 2D models of plant facility layouts. I was working with the shop floor to manufacture equipment, to test equipment. I was creating operations manuals and training materials and supporting, companies in using that technology. And where I work now, none of those same tools, none of those same processes apply, but the experience does. That's the key thing, right? And perhaps that's the gap that my parents didn't see, right? To them, it was a pit where I was dropping in, and they couldn't believe, You're an engineer. You wanted to be an engineer. How are you leaving behind? But I'm still an engineer. I'm just building different Legos, right? As a kid, I loved Legos. As a young adult, I loved building custom computers, and now I love, you know, building business architecture, building business infrastructure. And and the reality is, the first day of my engineering education uh, is the number one lesson that I think should be taught to everybody. And the lesson was 2 sentences. Any problem can be solved if we can do 2 things. If we can break it down into smaller pieces, and if we can draw those individual pieces. And I think that has honestly been the number one tool that I've used. And that lesson was passed and shared by a former professor now, by the name of Don McEwen, who was an incredible engineer and an incredible educator. Um, and as you see, that lesson, has not just stuck with me, but all of my friends who went through the same education, right? We always think back on that, and we always approach everything we do in that, whether it's in life or whether it's in business, right? So despite the fact that I'm no longer drawing small elements to help a shop floor, weld pieces of metal together into something that facilitates fluid transfers. I'm drawing smaller pieces of processes that help facilitate human activity, business activity, facilitate processes with their clients. So to me, I never saw it as a gap. I saw it as a small stepping stone, right? While from an outside perspective, it might look like I've completely given up on one thing and moved on to another. And I didn't see it that way. So that's perhaps why it wasn't scary. That's perhaps why it was natural for me, right? I said, I love designing this technology. Let me move to selling it. And when I moved to selling it over a decade ago, that's where I found this technology that I now implement called Salesforce, right? So when I moved over to selling the same technology that I was designing, I found a tool that helped me do that job. And I was given some responsibilities to improve that tool internally for our team and given a budget to support that change. And through about a year and a half of managing those projects internally for our team, growing our internal tool set to help our customer base, to help manage our customer base, I learned, wow, I actually really love this thing, right? I know I love the mechanical engineering side, and I certainly know I love communicating with companies and selling technology and selling them, a way to improve their business. But I actually really love how I manage the internal change of businesses, and that's what Maverick does now, right? I go to businesses and I talk to them about the tools that they have, the processes that they have to facilitate their, like I said, sales, marketing, business, operations, onboarding processes and lots of different processes, but the solution is always the same. I go in, I talk to their team, I draw it, I break it down into every step by step by step, and we draw those steps. And then we say, what tool do we have today that can be used to facilitate that? What new tools do we need to facilitate that? And that is what my business value is, right? That is what people hire me for. That is what my team is there to do, right? The team that I do have now, because for the first 3 years I operated solo, but now when you bring value to customers, they don't want to leave. So even my first customer from 4 years ago is still my customer today. So I've needed to grow, which is the beautiful thing about starting a solo business is that if you do things right, you do build a foundation for a business that can grow past just your own ability to customer services, your own ability to service customers. And when you build that clear blueprint of where is the value that you're targeting, where is the gap that you're targeting, you can communicate that very well to the broader market and get customers. But then you also need to build a team and bring in a team that's going to help you do that. And that's my new journey, right? And I find naturally in life, things always kind of shift and change, right? So while I wanted to do it solo, it's become impossible to do it solo because of the success that going solo has brought. And that I think is the beautiful thing about starting independently is that you don't need money, you just need yourself. And as you gut it out and you work through it and you adjust and adapt on the things that aren't working, you have hypotheses and you adjust and you move towards where the value is, you'll find that fit. And those customers won't want to let you go, and they will tell other people about you. And when you go out there and you genuinely just want to help people, connect with people who have those problems and help them for free, which is what I've done. Like I said, never spent a penny on marketing, never spent any time trying to convince others that I'm the best. I've only just gone to help folks that needed it, that put their hand up and said, hey, I need help with this. And if I said, hey, I think I can help, I've gone and given them some support. And those people turn around and then they say, well, look at all these other problems that I have. Can you help me? And that's when the business relationships happen, right? It's when you don't try to push yourself as the number one thing, but you genuinely go and say, I want to help you without any strings attached. That's been my motto. That's been my attempt to uh, find those people who have the gaps that I can bridge. Now, I don't know if I've articulated that eloquently this early in the morning, but I
Yeah,
hope a little bit of it makes
I hear
sense.
you. I hear you, and I believe other people hear you as well. Um, since we have 3 minutes to to the top of the hour, I mean to 9:30. Sorry.
Yeah,
Are
and
there
for
other?
you, every minute is the top of the hour. Listen, you're still
I
going. Keep
know,
going.
I know. Could you please give your closing statements to those that are listening to you and want to experience the success that you're experiencing today.
The closing statement is quite simple, right? It's if you plan ahead and you have a clear picture in your mind, right, of what the problems you want to solve are and who has those problems, you can be successful, right? If you can find those people and you can communicate to them that you understand their problem and you can show them the architecture of the bridge that's going to take them from where they are today to where they want to be, that's where the value is, and that is the foundation of your business. I think that's the message. I think that's the message.
All right, Vogue. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you for those insights.
Thank you. Look at this, man. 96 and a half hours. This is crazy. We're going to celebrate whenever you wake up after this is done and you wake up, bring everybody back for a little celebration. Congrats, man. Round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Miss Glover, it's good to see you. Good morning. Okay, we are talking how to get ahead in Ghana.
Wow.
All right. Please introduce yourself to our online audience.
My name is Alithia Sybil Kokoglova. I like to say I'm a teacher. People will say facilitator, consultant, but I'm a teacher. I love to introduce myself as a teacher because life has taught us a lot, and I'm ready to also teach people. That's the basic everybody can know about me.
Wonderful. Okay, so your career has been through some really exciting corridors. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, Tom, your topic is very real and relevant to some of us because when you said how to live in Ghana, most people feel that they have to seek greener pastures. So we have to leave our country and run away. But we have a song in Ghana that says, Ghana, my motherland, home of rich resources. It means that there is a lot here, but it's left for us to be able to identify. I believe that life, the fingers are all not equal. So one is taller, short, but they all have what they do. And there are gaps in our fingers for a reason, so that it will feel each other. So to some have climbed educational height, some haven't. Some of us didn't start our career straight with all the educational requisites we have in today. But when you have determination and you have a dream and you have a focus and you have an altar, which is very important. When I say altar, I want the world to get it right. If you're a Christian, it means that you should hold on to Christ very well, which is what I believe in. If you're a Muslim, it means that you should hold on to what you believe in. And when you decide to bring that thing first, it means that you will succeed. So I started my career as I've worked in individual shops as a shop attendant. I've been an accountant. I've worked in a restaurant. I learned a little of catering. I've done a whole lot, but I started the corporate ladder as a receptionist in a very big institution. And I would say this, that most of the times when we have dreams and we meet people, when they see your future, they get intimidated. But you should be very focused and determined. And when humility leads you, you learn from even the younger ones. And so, yes, I started as a receptionist. I later got to become flight information person. I later worked in the call center. So as the years go by, finally, I won't bore people with so much words, but God has been good. I'm one of the management members in another institution, which I have also worked there for a very long time. I've been in the corporate world for over 25 years.
And it hasn't been easy, but God has been good.
Mhm.
And when I like to talk about myself as a teacher, because I was able to identify gaps in society, and I decided that whether I get support or not, like what you're doing, Tom, I really appreciate you very much because you've given to society what you didn't even get. Normally, we say we're giving to society what society gave to us. Unfortunately, some of us didn't get any support from society, but we decided that because we are daughters and sons of Zion, we would give to society. Because when you go to the word of God, it says that freely ye receive and freely you have to give.
Mm.
So I started teaching kids in my area without collecting a dime. And I realized that most of them, their parents had given up on them because they felt my son, my daughter is a dumb parent. And people forget that there are sicknesses and there are issues that affect childbirth, that affect their brain and their thinking capacity.
Mm.
Sometimes it is not a child's doing. Some kids would not want to learn. Others could be dyslexia. It is very true, but most parents are ignorant. So I started teaching the kids not in the regular curriculum as we do, like 1+1 is 2. I may bring apples, oranges, and we're teaching, learning, and we're having fun. And so some of the parents approached me and said, "What have you been doing to my kids? It seems they are picking up." And I was like, wow, to God be the glory. And they encouraged me to operate a school, but I kept telling them, it's not my calling. I'm not to have a school. And they said the reason to operate a school is to impart into kids' life. And you're doing exactly that. And I said, no, I still want to teach them free. I feel happy and fulfilled. So moving up from there, I started teaching Sunday school in my church. I attend KICC. I'm a proud daughter of Zion. KICC is Kingsway International Christian Center. And I started teaching the Sunday school kids. And what I normally do on weekdays is that, parents bring their kids to church and they have homeworks.
Mhm.
So I would leave my praises and worship, gather the kids in one classroom, no matter your class, I would help them through all of them, their homeworks. And then they will come back and tell me, they had all correct, they did this. So I kept teaching Sunday school for a while. And then after a while, I also started going back to school. So my hands became full. And then I got to the protocol ministry in church. So when we say protocol, you arrange, you're able to meet guests because I happen to work in an institution that the church can have access to me.
Mm.
So after a while, I moved to the hospital ministry in church. So I go to the hospital to preach and then to console people. And when there is a need, we give support that is financial. Because when God preached to the people, he didn't say, after preaching, go home, the Holy Spirit will feed you. But what Jesus did was that after preaching to them, he shared 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes to all the people. So I believe that we as children of God have a responsibility. We are supposed to lead a nation. We are supposed to take decisions. And I believe when we all decide to do that, oh, Ghana is going to be one proud nation. Everybody will want to come. I speak this week, so currently I belong to the prison ministry. So I go to the prisons to preach. In 2 weeks, I'm moving the prisons to preach together with my church. And I bring this to perspective because that is the reason I've been able to thrive in my career.
Okay.
If I leave God behind, I wouldn't.
All right. Now that we've got that background story, let's move into the career. How you've gotten ahead in corporate Ghana. You began from a receptionist.
Yes.
Let's start from there.
Okay.
How did you find the job?
Okay. So first of all, it's seriously, people say it's not easy to get a job. I hold 2 schools of thoughts. I was determined when I was submitting applications. I had about 20 applications in my bag. And so when I get to a particular office, I stand there, write the name with my pen behind the envelope, and I submit it. I realized that because we Christians and some are Muslims, because I believe the whole world is listening to you. So I don't want to center it on religion base, but I believe in God. I am a daughter of Zion. So what happens is that we stay in the room and pray in tongues, hoping that jobs will fall for us, but no, you have to go out and look for it. So that was the beginning. But I attended about 3 or 4 interviews in that same institutions for 3 different positions. And by the special grace of God, I didn't do badly in all. But you know, after the interview, it doesn't end there. You may pass an interview, but you may not be called. Because if one board member has the daughter or the son, and you pass the interview, for formality, you have passed. But another person is second or another person is third. It is who mentions you in the boardroom. It matters. So I tell people, because I know I have God, when I pray to God, I say, let favor go ahead of my name. So wherever my name goes, favor should come. So I did not particularly link to anyone, but by the grace of God, I got the job.
Okay.
And when I got the job, I got a job in Ghana Civil Aviation Authority.
Right.
As a receptionist. And I told myself that I would write in the Ghana where I am. So in the process, when I'm less busy, I go to their call center to assist them because sometimes they need more hands in the call center.
Yeah.
So I started learning how call center is being operated without having a certificate on that. So after a while, when they need somebody to sit in, they would tell that, oh, they would fall on me. And I was willingly doing it. And sometimes it's even a weekend. And I used to work Monday to Friday. And they would call me that, oh, this Saturday, they would have shortage in the call center. Will I be able? And I'll be glad and willing to do it. I realized that if you have passion for something, if you do it with all your heart, without thinking of reward, God watches over it and orders your steps. Yeah. So yes, I started the call center. Later on, I went to GIJ. So I became a flight information officer in the same institution. You make announcement on air for flight arriving and all that at the airport. So after moving from there, I believe that learning doesn't cease. It's only when you die. So even at this stage, I'm still learning. So every opportunity I get, I learn. And I learn from everybody. It's not just the classroom. So fast forward, I climbed the ladder, became a terminal operations officer. I became a team lead. And gradually, by the grace of God, I am the customer service one of the customer service managers at Ghana Airport Company.
And for emphasis, this is a job that you began indirectly as a receptionist, right? Okay, so today you are one of the managers.
Yes.
And you've been in the present position for how many years?
The title was conferred on me not long ago,
Okay.
but I have been doing, sometimes you have a responsibility, you're doing a particular job, but the title and whatever comes with it doesn't come. But officially it was confirmed on me this year.
Right. So now for young guys who are entering the industry, you've given a template. I want you to kindly break it down, some of the elements that got you to where you are. Of course, applying for the job is one, and then going beyond the job description is another, additional learning and showing discipline. Okay, I'm now taking the words from your mouth.
No problem. I believe in one word. So I run an institution called Treasure Attitude International. That's the name of my company, a personal company. The word attitude is what does it all. Today, I know the ages, the generations we are. So the younger generation now, what they want is fast, free money. What they want is their well-being, which is not bad. It's very good because I'm an advocate of mental well-being. So they don't want to really stress too much. All they want is fast, something has to happen. But I want to tell everyone, listen to me. If you're younger, we have the Gen Zs, we have the millennials. If you fall in any of those categories, yes, the age, the generation comes with its own challenges, but I want to tell you that consistency, good attitude, and humility. So consistency, good attitude, and humility. Qualification is good. I hold 2 master's degree. I have about 4 professional certificates. I have a postgraduate diploma in airport management, so I can leave Ghana and be in any airport because the certificate comes from ACI, Airport Council International. I hold a certificate in IATA passenger handling. I'm a GIJ product in public speaking and presentation. I can finish. I mean, it's quite a long list. I'm a certified customer service expert from UK. I'm a certified corporate professional trainer from UK. So I facilitate, I teach, and train. I currently finished my alternate disputes. So I can be an arbitrator. I resolve dispute. I want to get into law. So that's the list is tall.
Yeah.
I'm not saying education is not.
Relevant.
Nobody should get it wrong. It's good to be educated. It opens your mind. You become very you're not shallow-minded. You become very optimistic in life. You see beyond what everybody sees when you get further education. That's when you have God, you're humble, you have good attitude. I bet you cross hurdles than anyone who has done a PhD because it takes the favor of God. I know pastors who haven't been through school, but when they pick the Bible from start to finish and they interpret it for you, you would understand that there is still God is still in the miracle working business.
You know, I had one of my guests the other day, and I was like, to master or not to master? Master's degree acquisition has been a source of confusion and contention for many early career professionals. Would you say that your master's degree helped or hurt your career prospect in any way?
Let me be very frank. Okay, my master's degree gave me network.
Okay.
But what I want to say is that so as a parent, I'm a parent, so I have come to understand that technical skills is important than academic skills.
Right.
You see, most of the times, that is why kids with low learning ability, we don't focus on them, but we need to. There could be somebody who speaks well, who sings well, who operates gadgets well, but we're not looking at that person. We are only looking at the person who is scoring and winning prizes, and this is the best student in the class for geography, arts, math. All parents, that's what we're proud of. Am I right? But no, I have come to understand. Recently, I spoke in an event, Women in Creativity Africa. And what I told parents that I'm pleading with them, they should balance the technical skills. Because you see, I may be boring people because I will go to the scripture. Most of the things that I have lived out, the Bible has mentored me to be where I am today. So I can't speak without making reference to the scripture. When you go to the scripture, God gave everybody talents. To some, he gave 1, 2, 5, 10. When we say talent, people don't understand. It's the ability to do something that you don't stress. Am I right? It is a hobby. People call it hobby. You do it at your leisure. When you're asleep and you're called and given a microphone, you won't mess up because that's what you do. You do it at ease. You can interview like you're doing now. You can interview without stressing yourself. It's a talent, but you have built on it. But you have the skills to conduct interviews. And your parents will say they want you to be a doctor or a lawyer. That is what we do. Master's degree isn't bad, but that is not the bedrock to stand on to go to the next level. I'm saying this so that people will not get it wrong that they don't need to pursue their masters. If you want to, But that is not what will set you apart from the others. It's the soft skills that will set you apart from the others. Everybody's having a master's degree, yes. So what separates you from the other? Your soft skills, attitude.
Very interesting. Okay, so academic qualification check, comfortable job position check. Now we are left with two topics:
Family life.
family life. Yeah.
I know you really want your audience to know everything.
Mhm.
I've been a widow for 9 years plus. I have so many kids, biologically 4, but I'm raising 10 kids. I would say it for want of better words. I was really focusing on my kids, but I'm thinking of remarrying again. And then you will get an invitation. It will happen soon.
Oh,
Not to
God.
ask me who and what, because that God gives us what we need, not what we want.
Mm,
You see, yes, I look very young, but I am not that young.
mm,
And so I have clocked where your mind can imagine. I know, because if I tell you I have been in the corporate industry for over more than 25 years. So even if you flash back, you have a slight idea of where I am now.
yeah.
And so I was thinking of myself, my own, minding my business. And then, women, we always pray when it comes to marriage because we don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah.
Here you are with kids, you have a career. Apart from working in the office, I do lecture, I teach, I counsel and mentor people. I take people through therapy. So your hands are so full. If you say you want it may come and may feel that you don't have time for them. But God will bring what you need to you. And I'm grateful. I would use this platform to say, God is still in the miracle doing business.
Mm,
And so he has shown me what I need. He has brought me what I need. And in due time, I would come to his altar to say thank you.
wow. So how have you maintained your health? Because obviously, there are some of your age mates that you started your career with, but they don't look as young and good as you do now. Was it an intentional practice or your natural gene?
It's intentional. One is that I do not bear grudge. The Bible, you see, I know I'll bore people because I said I will be referring to the Bible. The Bible says that forgive 70 times 7. It has a reason. If you study science, when you keep somebody's grudge in your heart, it affects you. You have high blood pressure, you have stress, there will be a whole lot of issues happen. You have fatigue, you can sleep well. So what I learned, I decided to practice. I listen, no matter what you do. And I give excuses for you offended me. If you decide to be rude or arrogant to me, I just say, oh, maybe you had a bad time yesterday night, or maybe you are carrying a baggage. So I say to people, everybody you meet is carrying a baggage. So be careful because they may want to offload it on you. And then the other thing I do is I tend to smile a lot because it's a very healthy medicine and it's for free. And I decide to see the positivity in every situation. So even the death of my husband, that was so bitter, that was painful. After he was buried, I had to sit and speak to God. And I speak to God like I'm speaking to you. I am not religious. I am not holy, but I believe I'm the most loved daughter of God. So I sit and I say, good morning, Holy Spirit. I offer you a chair. Lord, this is what I'm going through. My heart cannot contain it. How will you help me? Take me through one day at a time. And I'm talking like this with God. Then I'll go into that. I said, if anything happens to me, people will mention me. Then where is the God I serve? Where is my Father? And your word says that your word will not return with you void until it has accomplished the purpose for which that word was sent. You sent it that I may have peace in my heart. Let it be. and I will sleep. I'll wake up, I'll cry, then I'll come to God again. God, why is the pain still with me? It works. People will think I'm just, it works. Tom, it works. And so I have been positive. I've been through hurdles. There are times you wake up and your kids are crying, and you yourself, you haven't healed. I told you I take people through therapy, but in my case, I got healed through the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
I didn't go see. I nearly went mental because it just happened. You were not prepared. And so I asked myself, how would I face the challenges ahead of me with the kids at one side? But the Holy Spirit is so sweet. God says He will send you a comforter. And it is the truth. That is the truth. You don't need to be a pastor. You don't need to be religious. You just need to have a relationship with God.
Mm.
Like you have brothers and sisters, your team. You have a relationship with your team. So when you blink your eye, your team understands what you mean. The same way when we have a relationship, even when we haven't spoken, the Holy Spirit knows what we need. That is the truth.
Wow. Wow, that's so comforting and also inspiring at the same time. Okay. So now now I'm guessing at your stage it's about legacy. It's about establishing, helping to streamline policies that help your industry. Talk to us about that.
It's not just my industry. I'm a proud citizen. My focus is to see Ghana thrive, to raise people. Okay, so my church motto is we raise champions to take territories. So my motto, I'm on a mission. The mission is simple. I want to change minds, transform minds, to change attitudes. So I'm here to help people reform their attitude. So if you used to be, okay, this one, let me put it in my pocket, I will change your mindset about it. And after changing your mindset, it means that I've been able to transform someone, and you'll be an ambassador. So I keep telling people, I'm on a mission to change attitudes to transform minds. So you see, Ghana, I love the topic you brought out about Ghana. And so it comes to policy directions and all that. And our policy directions is from parliament and all that. I keep telling people that we always sit back as children of God and say, oh, politics is not for us. I dive into areas people don't find it comfortable to talk about. But I will tell you that politics is for the children of God. Because when the children of God are in policy seats and they take decisions, the citizens will be happy, there will be development. And you see, people turn out to blame government. I hold a different opinion. I don't blame government. They have a part to play, but I blame individuals. We need to have a paradigm shift. When we have change of mind, change of heart towards things, you go to ministry, you want something to be done. Tom, you've encountered it, am I right? You have to call somebody, see somebody, put something down. Is it the government that is doing it? But we end up blaming most two popular governments. We have the current ruling government and the opposition party. We turn out to blame, people are blaming the current government because things are not stable. But I want to ask a very genuine, open question. Are things unstable only in Ghana? It is a world thing, Tom. It's happening everywhere. But some people are able to maneuver, yes, policies and all that. Why won't Ghanaians also come together and see how we can also build our nation? But we end up focusing on the politicians. You get my point?
Yes.
My point
Absolutely.
is that you are doing something. I will decide to do something. We will come together to do something and take a major decision and say, today, we want to go and see our parliamentarians. Tell them this is what we think we are to contribute in this direction. But everything we say the government. Yes, the government has a responsibility. We all agree. But we as citizens, we have the bigger responsibility.
Yeah.
What do we do in our areas, our gutters, our environment, and the country becomes dirty, and we say it is government's responsibility to clean it. It's the government, the one that dirty the country. I believe that citizens should take bold rights in the country and be proud citizens by doing. When you go to Rwanda, it's a very clean state. It's not the government, it's the citizens. Change of mind.
Yeah.
And I believe we can do it. When I decide to change my mind, you change your mind, she changed her mind, he changed her mind. I think Ghana will be the most interesting, loving place to be. I've traveled wide and I still love Ghana.
That's impressive. Okay, so has there been any policy that came into effect, whether at office or elsewhere, through your desk?
Yes, Tom, seriously, I won't be able to talk about my company because I didn't come
in official representation. Yeah.
So I didn't take permission to say I'll speak on the company issues. But I believe that it depends on people who are in position. Okay, policy directions. And let me use this medium respectfully to say that I have a very strategic, good-hearted, humble, God-fearing managing director. She's a very open-minded person. All she wants to see is the company progress, the country benefit, workers are happy. And so if you have such people in seats taking decisions, you know that the company will grow. Am I right?
Yeah.
So yes, I will use this medium to really say she's the most, I've worked with so many people in different institutions, but I'm proud to say my current managing director is the most adorable person. She's a very open-minded person. She has that heart of a woman that wants to see that the company grows, the country benefits, workers are also not disadvantaged. And a big shout out go to her, Mrs. Yvonne every year.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so let's take it to early career professional on how to rise in the corporate ladder.
Networking is very important. We didn't know it when we were growing. So currently, I tell parents, you want your kids to go to school, look for schools. So strategically, you don't just go to school because I want to go to this school. But let's make sure our kids, it could be a private school, government school, but make sure you have purpose because networking is also important. And rising, you have challenges. You see, we call something MBA, it's not Masters in Business Administration. Ghanaians will tell you it means be by ache. It means I've been here for long. So in Akan, the words M and B and A star sets. Okay. So when you get into a corporate institution and you meet those kind of people like me today. So now I'm an MBA because not in professional certificate level, but like I've been there for long. And I do not have academic qualifications. And you are coming in and you have it. There's a big challenge. I feel threatened when you enter into corporate world. But so that's what I experienced. You enter into the corporate world, you have some certificates, diploma, and something you're bringing on board, and you go to meet people who maybe brought secondary school and they feel intimidated. And you have the zeal, you want to get something done, you want to be a problem solver, and people have a challenge with you. So whatever they will do to be an obstacle on your way, to pull you down, I bet you would experience it, which I did. But I always say that. I always say rejection is redirection. I hope you understand. When people try to pull you down without you climbing, it is called redirecting. Because maybe if you had climbed, you believe in all the spiritual manipulations. Maybe if you have climbed, I wouldn't have been closer to God like I am today. Because as a young person, all you want to do, I believe I can fly, you heard that word. You just want to be on top of everything without even thinking twice. You are just on issues.
Mm.
And I believe that, so moving forward, I have decided that the young ones that come, I rather empower them. I want them to even be better than I am. But I didn't meet that. I met people who became envious of you and doesn't want to see you succeed.
Mm.
So whatever they will do to put obstacles and impediments in the way, they will do it. And God has been good and held us up to this time. So I'm raising younger ones that I don't mind even become better than me. That is a good teacher. I really want to see the people I'm raising. Maybe because I've had experience and I've had education. So it comes to bear. It gives you a sense of understanding better. That is not just the experience, but I'm not threatened by the academics because I'm also educated.
Mm.
And I believe that it's a good insight.
A case has to also be made about the younger ones because, you know, taking someone under your wings is a responsibility, you know, and then a case has to also be made about them being willing to learn, you know, from you. And yeah, it's not enough for you to give them your time. It's about whether the individual values that investment and wants to, you know, see it as valuable as it is and not wait for you to do everything for them.
So, it's a two-way thing, like you said. And I believe approach makes the difference.
Yeah.
Some people are not willing to learn, but the way you approach it
Yeah.
makes the learning very enjoyable.
Yeah.
If you come and I'm preparing you, I want you to do this, do that. No, I don't relate to my subordinate in that way. If you come to my office, you won't know who is the madam and who is the subordinate, but there is respect amongst us.
Mm.
When I'm talking to them, I use please, can you kindly get this tied? Can you? So you see, leadership, I believe, is my example.
Mm.
So what I'm doing would make sure, will make them eager to really learn and understand it.
Mm.
But if I come and I want to lord everything, I'm a very firm person, but I'm a very friendly and sweet person.
Mm.
When there is time for me to discipline you, I'll be disciplining you, but you don't feel the pain. I call you aside and I tell you what you did, this is below the belt. I would let you know. I would speak to your emotions. I wanted to get to you, but I am not the type who come in the presence of everybody and start yelling for people to know I'm the boss. I call them my teammates. So that is how we relate to each other. And I believe that that is making people wanting. So they are able to come to you when they have challenges. And I believe that making people want to learn from you, sometimes you have to give them responsibilities. You have to give them assignments. You have to guide them. There are some they want to do, but they don't know how to do it. So it's a two-way thing. People should be willing to learn. And you, the leader, should be an example they want to learn from.
Mm. Talk also about the, you know, there are times when established processes must take effect for people to learn because otherwise culture becomes compromised and corrupted.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Okay, so we have training systems. For instance, every 3 months, they're supposed to go through particular training every 4 months. So in that training system, we've arranged who goes. So everybody knows that it will be my turn. It is not like you're picking favorites. And there are some training systems you tell people that it's based on performance. So maybe when you have performed, so at every quarter, we look amongst ourselves. You yourself would choose the team and say, oh, this person has excelled very well. So in the process, that person has been noted. If there is succession plan, you start looking at. So everybody wants to, if all those things are set up well and laid down well, there's no much acrimony, there's no bitterness, because everybody knows that I perform. I'll be part of the succession plan to be the next team lead or something. But if my attitude towards work is not good, then it will affect me as an individual. So everybody sees very fair. And I love to give everybody an equal opportunity. So if, for instance, I want people to type something for me, I come and there are 5 people, and I will tell all the 5, I want this thing tied for me. Sometimes I'm not giving timelines because I don't need it urgently. I want to see how everybody will approach
The attitude.
And so after they come, whoever fell short, I find out what happened. Oh, madam, you didn't say the time. Then I realized that there are some
That's
people
because
that
you didn't
give
say.
them
Mm.
responsibility, how to full details.
Mm.
There are some to the work out of the box. Then you know how to mentor them. Because I am a coach and a mentor to my team too.
What about those times when has there been any time when somebody really is, a burden to the team?
But there's a way you handle it. You see, anybody who is a burden to the team, one, may not be that he or she's a burden. Two, it could be deliberate for lack of, maybe the person is demotivated. Three, it could be psychological issue that when you are able to approach, then you will help the person resolve. I keep telling people, if I have a nursing mother coming to work in the morning, the person get and start panicking, and I'm just saying, why are you late? Come here. No, I just have to let the person settle. Even if the person is late, call the person to my office and look at the person's past records. Find out today what happened. You of all people, you get it. The approach is also important, and so it's not every little thing you pick on people. But if it's a consistent thing, it has to be looked at. Because if you don't look at somebody who is a burden on the team to do it, there are some people who are burdens and they will drop it over. So you find a way, everybody has their strength. Maybe in that team, that person doesn't have any strength in that team. The weakness cannot be, some weakness can be turned into strength, but maybe that person's weakness cannot be turned into strength, but rather you can channel that weakness in strength in another position.
Yeah.
So you have to, so as a leader, you have to be able to know the people you're working with, and then you can be able to know their strength, their weaknesses, the opportunities available for them, and the threats that they would do harm to the team.
Wow, the voice is taking me to higher dimensions. Wow. Okay, we have 20 more minutes. I hope you still have up to that time. Okay, great. Now, the other side is the corporate image of the team. Now, I should say the brand, but let me say your team so that we focus it on what you personally. How do you ensure that everybody lives up to the values and image that you've established?
Okay, so Tom, every time you're letting people know what we stand for, what we are here for. So it becomes still an attitudinal thing, but you are re-echoing it. Okay, you have to be clothed in a particular way. You are the eye of the institution. You have to know how to talk to people. Even when people angers you, don't take it personal. Shift it to me. Let's assume they insulted you. Say, oh, they are insulting my boss. That's what sometimes I say. If somebody comes to me and behaves rudely to me, wait, I'm representing my managing director. So that message is not for me, it's for her. So I don't get personal, I don't get emotional. And then we do regular emotional intelligence classes for them so that we'll be able to manage people's emotions, because the institution we're working, it's very open. And I mean, if you're not careful, you might be frustrated. So the processes are that we re-echo our values, what we stand for, and then we make the people realize that when you have good attitude, positive, it even helps you as an individual. It helps your marriage, it helps your family life, your relationship out of the office. So it's a personal responsibility for you to also start being positive.
Very well. Okay. Using office assets at work.
Let me Tom, let me drift a bit and say something. Sometimes you want to be a lawyer, but you will start from somewhere. it's very important because I know a lot of people are listening to you. It's not always that you go straight to where you want to get to. I had the previous person who just finished an interview, there's an engineer and all that. Sometimes you want to be an engineer, but you get into administration before you divert. I want to say that wherever you find yourself, don't think it's a mistake.
Right.
No, don't ever think it's a mistake. You would learn tomorrow, you will look back and say, oh, this is what has helped me to get to the next level. So every step in our lives as individuals, whether you're young, you're older, if you, whatever profession you wanted, there's nothing called too late.
Mhm.
Time, there's nothing called too late. Time is still on everybody's side, depending on what your dream is.
Mm.
That is why the older dreams, the younger dreams, so everybody can dream. When you look at all the people we look at in the Western world to motivate ourselves from here, some got their first job, became millionaires when they were 70 years, some 55, some 35, but they all set up their dreams, their goals were established. So you would think that if I don't get here at age 25,
Mm.
then I haven't succeeded. No, success is not measured that way. Success is measured in the impact you have laid an emphasis on others. It is not about what you have achieved as an individual, but what you have been able to do to others, to affect others' life, and the legacies you have set. So imagine you want to build the biggest mansion, you haven't done, but you have trained people through school. That will tell you a successful person.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't be disappointed by saying, I wanted to be a doctor, but look at me. Who says that when you're going to become a doctor, you have to have age limits? Is there an age limit?
Mhm.
No. If schools in Ghana or Africa countries will not allow you, when you go to outside world, they are not looking at age in accepting you to the medical fraternity. Provided you decide to sit back and when you are mature, you learn and you understand some techniques, you write your exams, enter into the school. Some became doctors at an older age, some at a younger age. Nobody has failed. So let's have a broad mind and know that if today I want to be a CEO of a company, I can start as a cleaner in an institution and I will still climb. And I have people like that I have trained. So please, nobody should belittle him or herself. So Tom, let's continue.
Yes. Diverting office assets for personal use.
Yes. That is a very big challenge to people, which I haven't done it. And I pray that I will not do it. I pray because I'm human, but I just pray. I know people they come and photocopy their project works and all that in the office. Most of the time, I even use my internet for office work in case I use my telephone. You know, there are things I have done for office that I don't have regrets. But I believe that it's all the reason I came back to say we should own our citizens. You see, if you think of a country as your own, if you think of an institution as your own, if it's my own, will I allow people to do that? They would take the A4 papers and then send it away to do their own what do you call it, thesis.
Yeah.
They will take company phones to call people. To allow those things if it's my company. So yes, I would say that my team does very well. There could be one or two lapses, but they are very conscious that hey, company property has to be for company.
Yeah. Finally, for foreign nationals that live in Ghana and want to get ahead in Ghana, what do you have to tell them?
First of all, we as Ghanaians also go somewhere as foreigners and we obey the rules and regulations. First, I would say that in every country, there are rules, there are regulations. Please, let's follow them. If you need to come into the country with a visa, do that. If you need to come into the country, get a permit, work permit, do it. It doesn't make you have problems with anybody. Because if you don't follow the rules, the processes, That is where you meet one people, they call them connection, or how do they call those things? Oh, I can help you do this. Okay, before you realize you've been good. Ghana is a very peaceful and lovely country. There's a lot of opportunities here. Anybody who will say there isn't is lying. I'm telling you the truth. There are a lot of opportunities here. It's just for us to sit, think, and then we look for the gaps. We are not supposed to reinvent the wheels. There are a lot of things going on here. So foreigners, we are here. We want you to also progress. We love everybody. Please follow the processes, how to stay in Ghana. Don't go and rent somebody's house that you want as a resident. And by the time you realize you turn the house into offices and you are doing a whole lot of nocturnal activities, make sure you do legitimate business, because there are businesses that are not authorized here. There are businesses that are authorized in other countries. And so if you want a business,
please,
if you
use
want
this
a
camera.
business to register,
This camera, yes, please.
if you want a business, register the business. And then make sure that you come into our country with your visa, you get your work permits. Make sure if you are not sure of something, whichever nationality you belong to has an embassy here. Please, I would urge you to see your embassy for guidance. There are a lot of good people in Ghana. But yes, we may not have it 100%. There may be one or two who would not be upright. You may be unfortunate to encounter one of them. We're pleading with you. If you are not sure of anything, go to Ghana Tourism Authority. Get to the airport, Ghana Airport Company. We would be able to assist you and direct you. We love you and we want you to prosper because we need your money to build our nation. We love Ghana.
Thank you, Ms. Glover. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Tom.
I appreciate you for joining us to make history today and spending your precious time and sharing your wise words with us. Thank you.
Tom.
God bless you.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And we know you're already a winner.
Thank you.
Because that's what I said.
Thank you.
I said the attempt has made you a winner.
Thank you.
And so you're a winner.
Thank you so
We are
much.
just waiting for them to announce.
Yes, so yes.
We thank God and He will see you through.
Amen. Thank you, madam.
I'll ask for leave.
Yes, please. Who's on call?
Nas.
So sad. Hassan.
Sorry.
Hi.
Yeah, she's laughing at you.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Don't
Hassan.
worry, I'm always laughing. I'm always smiling.
Okay. He was trying to butcher your name for nothing.
It's Adeshawa.
Okay. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Well done.
I see you're well. You're bubbling.
Yeah, it's a bright morning. It's still morning. At least no stress.
Yes. Yes, so. All right. Please introduce yourself and let's go.
Okay, so I'm Adeshawa Azan. I'm currently working as a functional consultant with Lightrise Consulting. So what I do currently is try to infuse technology and HR together. So my career I started my life or my undergraduate as an HR professional. I studied human resources in University of Lagos. Even though when I was younger, I'd always had the passion for tech and all of that. Like I was introduced to technology in a very, very young age. But everybody would have thought I would have done something related to computer science. But yeah, I did human resources. And along the line, I've been trying to balance my love for technology and HR. And finally, I'm currently in the UK. And so And being in the UK has exposed me to a lot of things, and I was able to like find my feet in HR technology, and which is currently what I'm doing, and I'm passionate about HR technology, even though I'm trying to dive into some other part of technology like app creation and all of that. But my major focus is on HR technology and how technology is impacting the HR processes.
All right. Okay. Our topic is leveraging technology to drive HR transformation, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So, first of all, what is the future of HR with consideration of AI and things?
The future of HR is just there's still more things to come, but where we are now, the future of work has changed, especially after COVID. We can see more of remote working, more people using a lot of tools, more. There's also a drive towards DEI, that's diversity, equality, and inclusion. So technology is trying to drive all those things. There's more, it's not just about technology, it's not just about the systems now, it's how can AI help all those systems already in place that are already helping the HR processes? How can they implement AI to ensure that these things are seamless? So it's not just about the paperwork anymore, it's how to make the process seamless. So the future of of HR is not basically just how would I put it? It's not just about doing the things that we've been doing before, but now seeing how technology can help those processes.
Say more words. Keep going.
Yes, so like we have like recruitment. So like how can AI impact recruitment? Like in recruitment, there's like companies want to attract their staff, they want to select the right candidates. So for example, you have an AI-powered applicants tracking system, that's like an ATS system that can quickly scan through resumes for, unlike before where HR administrators have to like go through these resumes by themselves, even though there can be human bias and there can also be bias from the system's part. But with AI and technology, you can be able to do these things faster based on the input you've given the system. So now you can scan through resumes and see like for relevant keywords, the qualification and the experience, and narrow down at least especially for the first stage of recruitment, which usually you get a lot of applicants, and narrow down than using the manual screening. So we have tools like IRView, where you can record videos. You do videos and you can record the interview. You record the interview and it analyzes the video interviews. Also, I think we have P metrics, but I think IRView is one of the most popular ones that are being used. So it assesses, not just assesses what you're saying, it assesses your body language, your tone, and you can also use tools like Textio to provide augmented writing to help the HR team to like write inclusive jobs. No, so a lot of times HR will like when you apply for jobs now, they'll say you shouldn't use AI for like the applications and all of that. But even as HR professionals, we will use AI and we use all these tools to even try to drop job descriptions, to drop things that would help the team. So the only like I did my dissertation in HR and HR technology and trying to see some of it now, which was and one of the major things that came out from my research was bias. A lot of times with the system, we can have like a lot of bias. We can have, and if you don't train the AI properly, that's why it's not like AI is going to come and take up all the jobs that they are there. Obviously, the people that will be doing the job will reduce because there's more. We are doing more with less time, but you still need to be able to understand how to train those systems, how to program the systems to reduce things like bias. I remember that I read an article of recent when the CEO of a company said he applied for a job in that company and the system kept pushing him off, even though he was qualified for the job, like based on all of those things. So sometimes if you don't set those things, and you need to also audit the AIs, those systems, you could just like I remember I had a conversation with someone during my dissertation interview, and one of an HR professional, she was like, what she usually does, she after the whole process of the interview, she picks up the CVs and go through it. She can just randomly and see if there's any bias or any unconscious bias. So a lot of times we need to train the AI systems to remove potential biases like resume names and all of that. So this will reduce like bias a lot, though it cannot, I don't believe it can be totally reduced, but and the more we keep doing these things, the more we keep using those systems, I think we'll be able to overcome those bias. So
Right.
yeah, so the based on I kind of drawn it up like different aspects of HR. So for
Yeah.
still on recruitment, you can human oversight, there might be human oversight with using AI tools. So while we're trying to accelerate the use of we're trying to accelerate the process with using AI, you will also have to consider the human judgment, like the empathy in recruitment, which is very important, which was one of like the focus of my dissertation, balancing the human parts of HR and the technology. So because you're just using technology does not mean you don't show empathy. You will see on some websites when you're doing some online interviews, there's always like a chat bot or someone available to like provide assistance, support, and some people train you on how to use the system. Even before you start using the system, they tell you how the interview will go, how the application will go, and all of that. Those parts are still part of adding empathy to the process. So that's that for recruitment. I think the second part, which is employee experience, which is like a very big part of HR currently. So one is, especially after COVID, a lot of applications came up, a lot of technological tools came up, and a lot of employees were bombarded with applications. And so yeah, so right now, so HR has shifted from the traditional HR systems that's been designed for just normal payroll, attendance management, and all of that. They are focusing more on how to use all this technology to and all the systems to improve employee experience from onboarding to offboarding, and to ensure that an employee has like a good experience from the beginning to the end of their journey with the organization. So we have tools like Microsoft Viva, which is like very key, like they're doing a lot. Microsoft Viva. We have Workday, and under the Microsoft Viva suite, we have different suites and different applications so that can be used. We have Gleans, we have the ones for surveys, we have different applications that can be used. And Microsoft is really doing a lot when it comes to the employee experience space. And these things that are built to like help the employee journey. So these platforms, they help HR teams to manage the employee life cycle, like I said already. So like we have Microsoft, the Microsoft Viva, where you can go online, you go to your company's page, and you can see what's trending in your company. You don't necessarily need to be working physically. You don't necessarily need to be working in the organization in on site, but you can see what's happening across your organization, across your team. So these things are programmed in a way that it makes and there are conversations going on, programmed in a way that it makes the employee journey very interesting. So, and there are also tools, like I said, the survey ones and where you can get feedback and also track the performance and how well people are using the resources. We have there's a well-being one that Microsoft has to, I'm trying to remember, and it's also under Viva, where you can also take focus time, go there and read, you can just meditate on something, listen to some audios. So all those things foster like a good work environment for employees. So it makes employees feel engaged, it makes them feel supported, and they're less likely to leave, obviously. So if I'm as an employee, if I'm settled, I feel like the organization is giving me everything I want, there's less possibility that you want to leave. So at the end of the day, this will reduce like turnover and improve like the employees' morale to work.
So what you're saying is that in spite of AI, the HR profession is still very much human.
Yes, it's still in demand, but like a lot of times of recent, I've done a lot of HR professionals, in as much as HR is, yes, it's still in demand, you also have to like retweak and reskill yourself to ensure that you are in sync with what's happening in the HR space in relations to technology. So there's a lot of opportunities when it comes to technology. We have those that are people that just looking at the systems that should be used. Okay, what system can suit into our culture? What system can help us? What system can provide can suit into the vision of the organization? There are those that help with the implementation. So there are different parts of the HR where HR professionals can function. Even there's also data. I know a lot of people, like I remember when I was in uni, a lot of people ran away from other courses and came to come and study HR because they didn't want to do anything calculative, but at the end of the day, we still encountered doing finance and accounting, which was like a challenge. But so being an HR does not mean you don't have to be analytical. You have to develop all these skills, be analytical, love systems. If you don't know how the systems work, if you don't know how these things work, there's no how you can provide that thing to your employee. You need to know how it works. You need to be able to have insight into data and know what is working and what is not working for your organization. And even when you want to select a system that you want to buy as an organization, you're not just, and HR is just beyond the administrative work. You're supposed to be like a strategic partner, because HR is viewed as a position where you are just spending money, you're just paying people, you're just looking for money to spend. But when you take yourself out of that place and you're bringing strategic partnership to the business, you're adding more value. In the long term, you can look at, okay, if we bought this system, if we're implementing this particular strategy, if we are doing this particular thing, what return on investment is it bringing to the organization? So it's not just about just spending the money, because that's how HR is being viewed at some point. But I think it's getting better now because we have more strategic partnership within the HR space.
Very well. Okay. Now let's leave HR and AI for a moment and go back to Hassan and her career.
Yeah.
Where did you go to high school?
Nigeria.
Which school?
Federal Science and Technical College, Yaba, Lagos.
Okay. What about university?
Just beside my secondary school, University of Lagos, Yaba.
Okay. What did you study then?
My study was called Industrial Relations and Personnel Management at the time, but I think now it's now called Employee Relations and Human Resource Management.
Okay. All right. So were you already fixated on being in HR when you were in uni?
Before I joined uni, I'd not really heard about HR. I heard about HR like some days before my application and all of that. I'm like, okay, looks interesting. But when I started uni, it was looking fun. I was like a big advocate at that. There's something called HR. There's someone that actually manages people. It was interesting. Yes. So when I started my program, I was looking for how to build my career in HR. Yeah.
Okay. So now you finished studying.
I did my master's. I came
okay.
to the UK to do my master's also in international management, human resources.
Where?
Society University in the UK.
Okay, that's what brought you there, and eventually career kept you there. What was it like coming to UK? I mean, going to UK because I'm not there.
It was something I've always wanted. Even when from my undergraduate, I always told myself I wanted to do. I grew up with this notion that I was going to school, all my high school and my uni abroad and all of that. But obviously, I didn't have the opportunity to do my undergraduate abroad, and I already had this notion that even if I was going to do my master's, it was going to be abroad. I tried before. This was not the first time. I tried the US. I tried before. But as God will have, everything fell in place. So coming to the UK was something like I've always wanted to do. Yes. So it was at the
Was it on
beginning.
scholarship or?
No, it was self-funded.
Okay. At the beginning, what happened?
At the beginning, I came in a bit late, maybe like I was supposed to resume in January. I came in March, so maybe like about 2 months late. And even though I was joining class online, it was a bit challenging. And it was still fun, even and getting infusing into it was a different system. Their way of
Lecture.
their way of lecturing is a bit different, but it's still kind of the same. But the way of assessment was different. You're doing more of
Yeah.
reflective writing, or like in Nigeria, maybe undergraduates where you do more of exams, because masters
And
expect that.
cogitative.
Yeah, the masters they expect.
Regurgitative.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So for masters, they expect that, or you already have like a bit of work experience. So how do you reflect on these things, on what you've been taught in class? So at first it was hard for me. Like I can remember my first semester, I didn't really do well. I was like, they taught us three different ways of doing reflective writing. I had to first find the one that was good for me. Then along the line, it was challenging, and obviously there's always a deadline to every assignment you have. So meeting up with the deadline. But after that semester, I was able to get my feet back on ground. Like I was able to look at what are the areas that I didn't do well, how can I improve myself, and all of that. So, and one of the things I also try to do is like talk to people that have passed through the system, like me, to get insight from them. So that kind of helped me in balancing myself back.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the thing you struggled with the most?
It was the reflective writing. I'm like, how do I have to be I was like, how do I have to be reflecting on something? Like, I remember the first one was like, maybe I should reflect on my leadership style. I'm like, I don't understand. So you have to find like an instance or something. And while you're reflecting, you have to be referencing. It was a lot. It was like a whole totally different ball game for me. But yeah, that was like the major part of it that was new to me. But for every other one, even some assignments, some assessments where you do and you just have to do like it's just a normal essay. You still have to like reflect on what you've done on all your course of study. Like you still have to add that reflection part to it. But at the end of the day, it's actually a very good way of assessing somebody, because it helps you to also, as a person, it helps you to develop yourself and see how far you've gone, how far you've come, and where you want to go to. So I
Yeah.
believe it's also a very good way. But at least I've learned the technique, and I believe after my other semester I did better. So yeah,
Proud moment,
yeah.
became a bragging rights.
Yes, yes, yes. I write out the distinction, so I have a bragging rights.
Yeah. So what did you graduate with?
With a distinction eventually.
Really?
Yeah.
Even with all the struggles earlier?
Yeah, it didn't look visible at the beginning, because I did with the first semester. I'm not sure, the first semester I just did I have any A? I didn't have any A. I didn't have any A. But I just went to go and start calculating what do I have to get a distinction. What do I need to get the second semester? What do I have to get for my
Okay,
dissertation?
no. Hold on. Break it down. You say you did what?
Okay, so my first semester, okay, my first semester, I had, I think 67, 68. I didn't have a A, basically. I had two B's and one C's. That's in my first semester. So
Yes.
I looked at my score, and I'm like, I was almost going to challenge it, but like they're like, oh, it's the UK most of the time. Once everything that they've done is correct, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, no, let it slide. So I looked at my work and see all the places where I might have made mistake based on the feedback of the lecturers, and also try to like talk to other people. So I now drew up like a scale of, okay, this is what can I do to get my distinction? What score
Okay.
do I need to get my distinction? So I looked at all the courses I had to do left, and
Okay.
my dissertation, what do I need to get? So I still working towards that.
So
Uh,
obviously you picked the what do you call it? The
the
ag-
calculation, what's
yeah,
that thing called?
the,
The
the
GP
GPA sheet.
calculation, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you have the actual and you have the expected.
Yeah.
Then you did your maths. What's missing? Where do you need to be for
Yeah.
all of the courses?
Yeah.
And then your desertification, excuse me,
So
desertification. What do you need to get to be able to have a distinction at the end of the class?
yeah.
Okay, that's impressive. What about your study habit? What did you change?
what did I change? So I would say there was a period in my life that changed like my it was not it reinforced something to me, like when I had joined Access Bank training school. I worked in Access Bank for a while, Access Bank Nigeria. So at that period, it was for 6 months. That training was for 6 months, and it was if you are doing something, just focus on it. You're not going to remember whatever. Once you get to where you're going to, it becomes history.
Yeah.
So just focus on what you have in front of you and just do it. So that was like my approach since that training school. That was my approach. Okay, if you are in school, focus on the school. Even though obviously I was working by the side part-time, but when it comes to school work and all the things I need to do, I try to like make out time for that. I spend time in the library. I'm not a very library person, but I try to spend time in the library, see what other people are doing that I'm not doing, and maybe read some books that people are not doing reading. Then for me, I prefer to read at night. I'm more active at night. So I take advantage of my nights. I can do all my assignment at night. Then a lot of things I did too was also like ask questions. Sometimes it's not about how good you are, it's about how much information you have to get the work done. So you might be very good in something, but if you don't have the right information, you might not be able to pass across what you have in you well. So I try to get as much information from the lecturers. I try to get as much information from people, because most of the time they have already, for every assessment you are doing, they already have like a marking scale, the rubrics that has been drawn up for you to use. So you using those rubrics, you'll be able to know which parts to focus more and which parts to like to put your attention more on, especially if you are maybe lacking something. Also ask people questions, like no matter how the person is, if you feel like even you know more than the person, you can learn from anybody. So yeah, those were the things. It's not like I did any extraordinary reading, because it was not about how much you read, it was how much research you're doing.
The comprehension, yeah.
Yes, so it was about how much research you were doing. I didn't do any I cannot use my approach, because I feel I grasp a bit faster than a lot of people. So
Yeah.
so I
So you
cannot
use the one that works for you.
I use what works for
personally.
me. Yes. So
Yeah.
I might just do something. I might have so I and as another thing I did was, as thought comes to me, like even when I'm in class, I have a notebook where I write down all those things. Sometimes before I used to feel like, okay, I'll remember it, but sometimes I'm like, I was thinking of this particular thing and I could not remember it again. So I started writing down some of the things that come to my mind. Even as a lecturer, I was teaching, okay, what do I want to impute into my assessment? I write it down. So I have that book where I just now use that as a guide when I'm working on my assessment. So I think that also helped.
That's really important. You know, when I was in university, I met this lecturer. I was studying business administration, and then this lecturer, he was teaching. Then he was talking about his reading comprehension formula.
Yeah.
On how he got a first class. Actually, how he became the best graduating student in his university days, even though people thought he was playing around. When he finished talking about that strategy, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to do this thing immediately. And it's just similar to what you're saying now. Have the actual, know your actual, know the expected, and then design your own unique reading formula. And, have, you can be collaborative learning, you can be you reading on your own in the library, you can, whatever formula that suits you, then use that one. And the same thing, I applied it. I realized mine was attending lectures and taking notes, because in the night I read whatever I want to read. I can read textbooks that are not even related to my lecture. So I did that. And even though I was building my startup, in the school then, I ended up getting first class as well. So it works, actually.
Yeah.
It works. Most times you get so overwhelmed by all the academic reading and all the tools you have to read and books you have to consume. And sometimes that's why some people don't actually do well, because they go to the library, they see the books, they get overwhelmed. But they haven't designed their own reading formula. Some people I know, they prefer to read, textbooks than come to lecture. And it works for them, you know. They read the textbooks, they can come to lecture or not come to lecture. I know a guy, he doesn't even take notes, but during exam, he does very well. So yeah, what you said is quite vital. Anybody who is struggling with the hidden curricula of academia, I think you've just given them a key.
Yeah, I think another thing. I'm sorry, I wanted to also add, as you were saying, I just remember something which also works for me is irrespective of what you know, irrespective of how much knowledge you have, also try to teach people, not teach people, but maybe have conversation. Before it helps me, I try to explain things to people.
Collaborative learning. Yeah.
Yeah. So it sticks when you do that. It stays in your head. So I try to do that. So it stays. That has always helped me all along. So that's another way.
Have you heard about the protege effect?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
so absolutely. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's why older siblings are wiser than their younger ones, in quotes.
Sometimes.
Because they become I said in quotes. they are often assistant parents. So some of them are way advanced than their siblings because they help the parents to raise the younger ones.
Yeah.
Okay. So beyond that, beyond academics, you also lived. So how did you live? What did you do for fun? What did you do to become part of the culture?
What did I do? I don't know. I was just I am not sure I did any particular day, and I was just living life every day as it comes.
Yeah. So what's that life every day? Are you a party type?
No, I'm not a party type.
Are you a movie in the house type?
Yes, a movie in the
you
house type.
a post type? Movie in the house, right?
Yeah, I go out once in a while, but yeah, not all the time. So when I think it was more fun when I was in school because I had more friends and there was we had the same trying to achieve the same goal. So it was easier for us to connect more compared to now where it's now work related. So, and we're not staying as close in close proximity like that. So it's more difficult to connect. But once in a while, we try to have a little bit of time out. And normally, I think in the UK, apart from church, party, all this Nigerian party.
Birthday party.
Yeah, I think majorly for me, I think that's just been it. Then going out once in a while with family, friends. Yeah.
Are you addicted to exercise like your friend?
No, I'm not. I wish I could because I actually need the exercise right now, but I'm working on it. Maybe it'll be my New Year resolution.
Wow, it's funny that she's your friend, but you two not. I used to think that people who exercise a lot like that, they can be friends with someone who doesn't maintain the same regimen.
No, it shouldn't be that way. You have to balance. There's still the same way we're talking about diversity, inclusivity, and equality. You have to balance it. You don't have to be around everybody that likes the same thing as you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. Now, work. How did you find work?
How did I find work? I'm still looking for work anyways. But how did I get to where I am? So
yeah, how did you get to where you are?
Hell, so it's a lot coming to the UK, trying to get jobs and plenty, unfortunately.
Without generator. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. There was plenty, unfortunately, mails. I'm sorry, you can't do this. I'm sorry, we're not moving forward with your application and all of that. Sometimes it can be challenging because it makes you feel like, are you not good enough and all of that? But yeah, you just have to keep going at it. So how did I get my job? I think I came this particular job, I got the last July. I kept applying, even though sometimes it's not easy to keep applying, even when you get the rejections. As much as I want to, I try to like inspire other people, like my friends, like my close friends. I'm like, even if they call me, I didn't get the job, I'm like, I apply. So as I'm talking to them, I'm also talking to myself. As I'm encouraging them, I'm also encouraging myself. So to keep doing it. And I wouldn't say there's like one particular approach, but like just believe in yourself, try and push out your skills. If you need to like rework your skills, try and rework your skills. And for every no that you get, does not mean you'll not get the yes. All you need is just that one yes to propel you to where next year going to. You don't need plenty yes, it's just one yes. So for me, when I came, I wasn't sure of what I wanted to do. It's not like I was sure, but like I still wanted to like understand the HR space in the UK because more is like more of like a global economy. So I started going for events, I started going for HR events, I started going for programs and meeting people. So one of the major events that like kind of struck me, I'm like, okay, this is where I really want to do HR technology was there's an HR tech conference that is done every year in the UK. So and I attended that conference. I saw how much technology is shaping the space, and I'm like, this is like I can really see this is not just about people talking about it, like I'm hearing people saying talking about it, but this one I can actually see it. And I could see it changing the learning and development, changing HR processes and all of that. And I'm like, okay, this is what I actually wanted to do. So I started applying for jobs in that line. I realigned myself to what experiences I've had before and try to realign my experiences to what I'm trying to apply for. And I wouldn't say I did any course in particular. I did any extra thing, but I would still say if you can still like do a training that you feel like is needed in that particular area that you're looking for job for, if it to make you stand out. But for me at that point, there was a lot of financial burden. So I just told myself I'm not doing any training until I get what I want to do. Like I need to be sure of this is what I'm doing before I can start investing money on that particular thing. Because a lot of times, and I also had a conversation with like someone that was already in HR technology, like yeah, that was in that field, and she was like, it's expensive. Some of those trainings are expensive. That she will not advise me to like actually do that, but I should just get the job first and all of that, and I can start training myself on the job. Because sometimes you just feel okay, I just want to acquire trainings, and at the end of the day, you might never get a job in that thing you've been training for. So
Mm.
it depends. It all depends. There's no straightforward approach to it. So it all depends on how and where you are and how far you can. If you can invest your time, if you can invest your money, is very good. But there's no straightforward approach. Just but applications you get unfortunately and still get unfortunately. So you keep applying until you get until you get what you want. You definitely get that yes. So but it can be depressing, especially in this UK where you
So,
it's
so,
depressing.
so
But
what
yeah.
do you do to keep your spirit up? Because you seem you're always laughing and happy and
So what do I
joyful.
just keep my spirit up?
Yeah.
God, number one, God, I believe there's a plan He has for me. So, and it's always a plan of good and not of evil. So, irrespective of whatever is happening, I know it's just like a stepping stone to where I'm going to or that place I'm going to. And also like the people that are around, the people that are around me, they're very encouraging and very supportive, my friends, my family. and and when having friends that you can talk to about where you are, the challenges that you're facing, so it also helps. Like you just realize that you're not just the only one going through that particular situation, you're the only one going through that particular thing. There are other people that are also going through the same thing you're going through. So it also helps. And encouraging each other to also help. So you have to be am I supposed to